Chapter 340. Emperor Jia, what's the matter? What kind of situation have we not seen before? Before Su Tu could finish his words, his mouth couldn't close. 1,000-meter-long red carpet stretched from the entrance of Bugyaku all the way to the main road. All the shops on both sides were hung with red lanterns, and all the shop owners were dressed in red. These few people would never have thought that Master Guo would be so close to these people in the past. Why would they join in the fun today? Hey, Lao San, have the flower baskets I ordered been delivered? Don't trick me, kid. I'll go to Bugyaku's entrance to take a look. If I can't find my flower baskets, just wait, a shop owner beside Bugyaku asked loudly. Bossrin, don't worry. The flower baskets should be here soon. What kind of day is it today? 180 flower baskets all sent to one place. What kind of place is Bugyaku? Why do all the flower baskets have to be sent there? On the phone, a simple and honest voice said. Just do as I say. Why are you asking so many questions? Bugyaku is our Huasia's own medical center. You won't understand even if I explain it to you. Hurry up and send it over. If there are too many people later, your car won't be able to drive in, Bossrin said loudly. Things really went as Bossrin said. Lao San's car was blocked outside. It wasn't anyone else who blocked him, but some of the flower suppliers in the imperial capital. There were all kinds of flower baskets. The ones in front had already started to unload, and the ones behind were all waiting. Lao San, you're the closest to Bugyaku, but you're late today. A fat flower seller said with a smile, We prepared the flower baskets when we heard the sound of the cannon yesterday, haha. Brother Fatty, are the flower baskets in your car also sent to Bugyaku? Lao San couldn't help but ask. The flowers in the car in front had all been unloaded at the entrance of Bugyaku, but the flower baskets in Fatty's car were still untouched. Fatty nodded with a smile. 3 days ago, his shop started receiving calls for custom-made flower basket. He received more than 40 of them in one day, and all of them were delivered to Bugyaku. Fatty then increased the price of the flower baskets from 300 yen to 600 yen. However, there were even more people ordering flower baskets on the second day. A total of 180 baskets were ordered in one day. With Fatty's store's capability, he could only order this many baskets a day. However, as of yesterday afternoon, Fatty's store had ordered a total of 400 flower baskets, and all of them were paid in full. Fatty was completely shocked. He wanted to ask for flower baskets from other flower peddlers, but he found that the flower peddlers in the imperial capital were similar to him. Many of them went to the surrounding cities to buy flower baskets, which solved the problem of not having enough flower baskets. Ladies and gentlemen, there are no more flower baskets at the entrance of Bugyaku. Please unload the flower baskets on both sides of the red carpet and give us a list of flower basket. Thank you for your trouble. Su Tu called Guapai. Guapai didn't expect so many people to send flower baskets, so he directly asked Su Tu to find a way to accept these flower baskets. Oh my God, look, it's a plane. It's a military helicopter, and it's even equipped with radars. Someone actually dares to take off in the sky above the imperial capital. Aren't they afraid of being shot down? There was a burst of exclamations from the crowd, and then 3 skilled soldiers in camouflage jumped down from the helicopter. Mengzi, these old men are really not honest. They only told us today that Brother Guapai got married, and a few days ago, they even arranged for us to carry out a mission at the border. However, they still underestimated us. This military helicopter is really good. When we go back, we have to thank Captain Huang of the Flying Brigade. The 3 people who came down from the helicopter were Nyomeng and the other 2 from the 531. Get out of the way, all of you get out of the way. Damn it, it's embarrassing to be late today. Hey Sean, we didn't give any red packet. This won't do. You call Chun Kuan and ask him to prepare 3 million checks for us. Let's just give them a little something, Nyomeng said loudly. The surrounding people stared with their eyes wide open. 5 million for each person. This was too much. Although there weren't many patients in Bugyaku today, Bugyaku was very busy. Although today wasn't the day of the Gu family's marriage, everyone in the Gu family was very busy. Although today wasn't the day of Jia Yuan's wedding, Jia Yuan was already very busy. Brother, don't push. Wait for me to remember their betrothal gifts, and I'll do it for you immediately. Old Master Sun, you're too polite. Please come in. Old Master Nangong Mouse, you're too polite. Please come in. Let me count how many zeros there are. The Nangong family, 120 million. Brother Tingfei, sister-in-law, is about to give birth. Why aren't you at home with sister-in-law? Jia Yuan received the betrothal gifts one by one. Jia Yuan, I'm really not used to you being so thin. Let's drink a few cups later. This is the money for the Xianyuan family. Old Master has gone to the backyard. I have to hurry and take a look. Xianyuan Tingfei handed over the check and turned to the backyard of Bugyaku. Brother Yuan, remember it. The Xianyuan family, 100 million. Wang Xing, who was standing at the side, said with a smile. Third brother, don't help me blindly. Look carefully. 1 billion. It's 1 billion. Jia Yuan couldn't help but shout. Wang Xing nodded embarrassedly. After a while, the news of the Xianyuan family's 1 billion spread to everyone's ears. Old man Xiongfeng, you're really generous. I didn't notice it before. Nangong Mouse looked at Xianyuan Xiongfeng and said. The Nangong family was 120 million. Nangong Mouse thought that Xianyuan Xiongfeng would at most give 150 million. Who knew that this old guy would give out 1 billion? The people behind them couldn't help but feel embarrassed. They could only give 3 or 5 million. They couldn't compare with him at all. About 10 minutes later, a middle-aged man in his 50s wearing a hat and a pair of sunglasses walked up to Jia Yuan and handed him a check. Old mister, don't go. You have to leave your name. I don't know who gave you this money. Jia Yuan took the check and said. The man wanted to say something, but Li Dafu stepped forward. Jia Yuan naturally knew this official from the imperial capital. Li Dafu whispered a few words in Jia Yuan's ear. Jia Yuan once again looked at the middle-aged man outside. It's really the number 1 official. Uncle Li, please come in. Li Dafu followed behind number 1 and walked in. Originally, this matter was over. However, Jia Yuan's words brought everyone's emotions to the peak. Number 1 official, 300,000. Thank you for coming in person. Ahem, what? Jia Yuan said number 1 official? The people around were completely stunned. The people behind them were also stunned. Guopai actually had such a big face. Amazing, really amazing. Li Yao and the few men of the violent group didn't stay idle. Guopai was getting married. They couldn't let the groom be the chef. Guopai directly handed the jerky in the gourd to Li Yao. The 36 tables were enough for Li Yao and the others to be busy. Dezhu, what are you waiting for? Come and help. Li Yao called Xue Dezhu, who had just walked in from outside. Brother Yao, I can't help you today. I still have a lot of work to do. Xue Dezhu said and ran away quickly. Li Yao was so angry that his eyes widened. Brother Xing, if we continue to be busy like this, we probably won't even see what the wedding looks like. Why don't you call a few more brothers? There's strength in numbers. Li Yao said with a hint of pleading. Xing Tian directly called over a dozen people from the violent group. This speed made Li Yao laugh. Chapter 341. At 11:58 a.m., the Gu family's back garden was filled with people. They had prepared 360 tables, but there were still some people who did not have a seat. The Gu family had no choice but to arrange 180 tables in the courtyards around the back garden. Only then could all the guests sit down. Now that everyone was in the back garden, they did not want to miss this Huaxia's most classic wedding ceremony. At 12:18 a.m., a man and a woman appeared on the stage. At first, everyone felt that the two of them looked familiar, but suddenly, someone called out their names. Weren't these two the gold medal hosts of Huaxia's Channel One? Who would have thought that they would be the hosts of Guopai's wedding? This matter started 3 days ago. Jia Yuan and Li Yao had been arguing for a long time about the position of the wedding host. Such an opportunity was rare, and neither of them was willing to let it go. However, Guopai received a call later, and the two brothers stopped arguing. Compared to others, the two of them seemed a little unprofessional. When Yangdan and Wei Jing heard that the owner of Bugyaku, Guopai, was getting married, they went to Bugyaku together to see a doctor. Because of their occupational diseases, they were completely cured by Guopai's 3 doses of Chinese medicine. At that time, Guopai did not even give them money. The two of them discussed and directly asked to be the hosts of the wedding. Naturally, Guopai agreed. Dear friends and relatives, I hope that everyone will return to their positions. Friends with children, please take care of your children. The wedding ceremony will begin soon. Wei Jing's voice rang out. In a short while, the entire back garden stood in an orderly manner. Everyone's eyes fell on the rostrum. Guopai stood at the side in a suit. Lin Shuang's belly was slightly bulging. She stood not far from Guopai on a floating platform surrounded by flowers. Brat, I've been looking at the bride for a long time. Why do I feel that there's something wrong? An old man said softly. Grandpa, how old are you? It's fine for us young people to look at the bride, but what are you looking at? His grandson joked. The old man slapped the young man's head. I'm talking about the platform under the bride's feet. It doesn't seem to be supported or pulled by anything. Why is it floating in the air? The old man muttered to himself. The people around heard the old man's words and immediately looked at the bride. Yes, there was no external force. She was floating in the air. Our bridegroom, Mr. Guopai, I don't think I need to introduce him to you. He is young and promising, and the descendant of a famous family. He is the grandson of the most respected Mr. Guopai in Huaxia. Of course, in Mr. Guo's words, what his grandson is doing now is more meaningful than what he is doing. But I would like to say a compliment. I hope you won't hit me. As soon as Wei Jing's voice fell, the audience burst into thunderous applause. They didn't expect the most serious host of Huaxia to say such words, but the last 2 sentences really spoke to their hearts. Wei Jing, Mr. Guopai is indeed very outstanding, but I think our bride is even better than Guopai because she used to be the bridegroom's teacher. As a teacher, she teaches and dispels doubts. For Mr. Guopai to have today's achievements, our bride's contribution is not small. As soon as Yangdan's voice fell, the audience laughed. The atmosphere at the wedding was very good. Yangdan, I think the two of us shouldn't talk too much. Don't delay the auspicious day. Let's invite today's wedding witnesses. Let's leave this to them. Let's hurry back to the first channel to record the program. Wei Jing's joking words made everyone laugh again. However, Yangdan's words made the scene quiet down. No one even dared to take a deep breath. Next, let's invite our wedding witnesses, our Huaxia's father of Chinese studies, Master Yu Feng, and the Chief Kai Tianyang, who has been working hard for the rise of our Huaxia. Everyone, let's welcome them. Yangdan said loudly. In fact, when Yangdan and Wei Jing knew that Master Yu Feng was the wedding witness, the two of them almost fainted from happiness. They never thought that there would be such a day where they could stand on the rostrum with the master to preside over the wedding. However, Guopai's second sentence almost made Wei Jing, who was drinking water, choke. Master Yu Feng is currently resting in the backyard. The two of you tell the master about the wedding process and what you need the master to do. There's also a wedding witness who will probably arrive on the same day. At that time, you just have to cooperate casually. Guopai said to Yangdan and Wei Jing with a smile a day ago. Dojo Master Guo, who is the witness for the wedding? With Master Yu Feng, it won't be easy to find a wedding witness who can face the master. Yangdan said with a smile. It's not someone else. Chairman Kai just happens to be free tomorrow. He will also come over. You just have to cooperate with him casually. There's no need to take it too seriously. The main thing is still to let Master Yufeng take charge." After Guopai finished speaking, Wei Jing coughed violently. Oh, Yongdan was stunned. "Chairman Kai?" "Wei Jing, which Chairman Kai is bad brother talking about?" Oh, Yongdan asked foolishly. "Dandan, which Chairman Kai can it be? How many Chairman Kais are there in Huaxia?" Wei Jing composed himself and said with a thumb. Oh, Yongdan immediately covered her mouth. Although she had seen Kai Tianyang in some official activities, it was definitely Kai Tianyang's first time participating in such a private event. The lines and routines that the two of them prepared for a day were all changed. With such a big name as the wedding witness, the main city people really didn't have much meaning in this wedding ceremony. After Oh Yongdan finished speaking, with Master Yufeng in front and Kai Tianyang behind, the two of them walked up to the rostrum together. The audience immediately burst into thunderous applause. "Master, to be able to stand together with Master, I'm really overwhelmed by your favor. I remember that when I was young, I visited Master when I was studying. Today, Little Bad is getting married. I have to give Master a gift of apprenticeship." Kai Tianyang bowed deeply to Master Yufeng, and the Master accepted it gladly. "Chairman Kai has worked hard for my Huaxia. It is the fortune of Huaxia. This Bugyaku is the country and the people. It is also the fortune of Huaxia. To be able to see such a happy thing in my lifetime, this old man has not lived in vain." Master Yufeng said with a smile, "Today, as the witness of the marriage, I will simply say a few words. I know the two children. Xiao Shuang should call me Martial Uncle. I have a good relationship with your master. As for Little Bad, if I say that the one who has achieved is the master, I'm afraid I have to call him teacher. Originally, I wanted to write a calligraphy for you, but after thinking about it, I don't want to show off my slight skill in front of an expert in front of Little Bad. At that time, I won't be able to protect my wisdom." Master Yufeng's voice fell, and the audience looked at Guopai. They didn't think that Master Yufeng's evaluation of Guopai would be so high. Even Guopai couldn't help but shake his head. This descendant of his really dared to praise him. Today, the two of them tied the knot and became a good couple for 100 years. I won't say much. Everyone can see that, a talented man and a beautiful woman. I wish them happiness in the future, a happy family of 3, haha. Master Yufeng said, and his eyes fell on Kai Tianyang. The people under the stage naturally laughed. They didn't expect that Master Yufeng, who had passed the age of 70, would be so cute. Since the Master has brought his blessings, I will simply say a few words. Guopai and Lin Shuang's wedding. I am very happy to be able to see so many people, many of whom are acquaintances. I hope you can support Bugyaku. This Bugyaku is not only a medical center. He is also the hope of our Huaxia. Our Huaxia has a foothold in the world and hopes to make the world live a better life. I wish you, two little guys. When the child is born, I will come again to see." Kai Tianyang finished and walked down the stage with Master Yufeng. Chapter 342. Then, Wei Jing and Oh Yongdan walked up the stage again. The wedding went very smoothly. Because Lin Shuang was pregnant, the process was simplified a lot, but the process was very beautiful. It was worth mentioning that this time, the lineup of Lin Shuang's family was really too strong. The two of them served tea to the elders of both sides. On Guopai's side, it was naturally Gui Yuan and his wife. On the other side, there was a long line of people. Lin Sanyuan, the old man of the Lin family, should be seated. However, there was also the Tyrannosaurus group's Dragon King Xiaowudi, the head of the Xianyuan family, Xianyuan Xiongfeng, and the head of the Nangong family, Nangong Mouse. I am Xiaowudi. I have no children, but the Tyrannosaurus group has an adopted daughter. Today, I will take another adopted daughter. In the future, Lin Shuang's matters will be my matters. Xia Wudi is a bore. If someone finds trouble with my daughter, I don't care if it's someone else or someone from the Lin family. The Tyrannosaurus group is not to be trifled with. Xia Wudi's impassioned statement made the people below the stage widen their eyes. With Xia Wudi backing Lin Shuang, Lin Xingyu couldn't help but shrink his head back. Brother Xia said that we won't do much. Lin Shuang is also our adopted daughter. In the future, no matter if you suffer in the Guo family or the Lin family, come to us. We will help you. Xianyuan Xiongfeng and Nangong Mouse were also very direct. Of course, this wasn't for Guo Pai to hear. Lin Sanyuan smiled helplessly. Next, let's let Mr. Guo Pai say a few words. Everyone, what do you think? After Yongdan finished speaking, the happiest person today was none other than Guo Pao. After Yongdan finished speaking, a group of people below the stage, who had a good relationship with Guo Pao, began to kick up a fuss. Bad brother, say a few words. Tell us how you got sister-in-law, haha. Guo Pai wasn't afraid. He wasn't nervous even when facing 800,000 celestial soldiers. This small scene was nothing. Thank you, everyone, for coming to my wedding today. Sorry for the expense. Guo Pai's first sentence made everyone laugh. But I'm not short of money. If anyone here is short of money, you can come and ask me. If you don't want it, the money you give me today will all be used for the education and medical treatment of children in the remote areas of Huaxia. Your names will be written in the school history of every Hope Primary School, and your names will be written in every children's hospital. Thank you, everyone. Guo Pai bowed deeply to everyone, and the audience applauded. Many people in the capital knew about the situation of Guo Pai's elixir auction last time. They also knew that many of the Hope projects in Huaxia were related to Guo Pai. They didn't expect Guo Pai to be so generous. Finally, I only have one purpose in opening Bugyaku. I don't treat people in Huaxia. I hope that Bugyaku will be deserted. It's best if I can make Bugyaku close down. After Guo Pai finished speaking, the people below the stage were once again stunned by Guo Pai's domineering aura. The applause lasted for a long time. MC, I'm going to accompany my wife. I'll leave the rest to you, Guo Pai said and handed the microphone to Yongdan. He smiled and walked to the back. Guo Pai of Wu Castle, excellent in both medical and moral integrity. It was unknown who shouted this, but the following words suppressed his voice and rang out in the Gu family. Guo Pai of Huaxia, excellent in both medical and moral integrity. Huaxia, Guo Pai of Huaxia, excellent in both medical and moral integrity. Everyone, I know that it's Huaxia's fortune to have such a doctor, but I think everyone is hungry now. Today Bugyaku has prepared food for everyone. Let's take a seat quickly. On behalf of Bugyaku, I hope everyone can eat and drink well. Of course, if you drive here, don't drink. Everyone's safety first, Yongdan said with a smile. After everyone was seated, the Gu family and the waiters from several restaurants began to serve the dishes. For a time, the Gu family became lively again. Guo Pai of Huaxia, excellent in both medical and moral integrity. Let's see what you can do. Guo Pai returned to Lin Shuang's side. Several girls also surrounded Lin Shuang. Little Ling Mo even put his hand on Lin Shuang's belly, saying that he wanted to feel what it was like to have a baby in her belly. Lin Shuang didn't know whether to laugh or cry. However, when you saw Guo Pai coming, she said bluntly. Hee, this is the public opinion. There's no other way. Who asked your husband to be so outstanding? Guo Pai said with a smile without blushing. Several girls stared at Guo Pai in unison, and then a group of people laughed. Senior brother, look out. Grandpa's table is out of wine. I've sent all my private collection over, but they still want more. Guo Tongyuan said with a helpless face. Enough for today. You brat, don't be too honest. There's a spring in the backyard. Go take some ordinary wine and mix it with the wine I gave you. They drank until now, they can't drink anymore. Guopai said with a smile and handed a wine gourd to Guotongyuan. Good, really good. Guotongyuan ran away like a wisp of smoke. Several people laughed. Then Guopai went out to propose a toast, and once again, a group of people cheered. The dinner party lasted until 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Only then did the guests begin to slowly leave. After a day of torment, the Gu family could finally rest for a while. Little bad, the people who drank too much have already been arranged to stay. Your 3 brothers seem to be looking for you. They are waiting outside, Gu Yun said with a smile. Guopai smiled and walked out. Today, his 3 brothers could be said to be very busy. He had to personally go and take a look. Fourth brother, let's not talk about other things first. Get me some wine. You seem to be having a good time today. I just finished my work. Get me a cup of wine first, Jia Yuan said with a head full of sweat. Originally, Guopai had laid down a formation around the entire Gu family. The Gu family was neither cold nor hot. However, Jia Yuan was still sweating profusely. Think about it, with so many people coming, although Jia Yuan wasn't the only one in charge of the accounts, such a large amount of money made him very excited. 3 brothers, let's talk inside. I'll get you some food and drink. Fill your stomachs first. Guopai invited the 3 brothers into the house. Without saying anything, he prepared a table full of delicious food in front of everyone. The wine was naturally good. The 3 brothers were like hungry wolves as they ate. Cough, cough. 3 brothers, eat slowly. I didn't know that you were so honest before. Can't you get some food from any table you go to? Guopai said with a smile. The faces of the 3 brothers turned red. They weren't willing to eat at ordinary tables. However, Guopai didn't let them cut the queue for the next table. This caused the 3 of them to be unable to eat until now. Brother Yao, you're eating in the kitchen. Don't eat too much of this. Give some to me and third brother. Jia Yuan didn't think much of it. He grabbed the plate in front of him, but Li Yao snatched it away. I didn't get to eat anything in the kitchen. The group of girls looked at the 3 people eating with their faces full of food and laughed again. After about an hour, the 3 of them finished all the food on the table. There wasn't any wine left. Jia Yuan burped. Only then did he realize that his table manners were a little unsightly. He smiled at the girls and felt a little embarrassed. Sister-in-law, I was a little hungry just now. However, old Jia's contribution today is not small, Jia Yuan said with a smile. Fourth brother, you're really good. Last time, you got 50 billion for the pills. Do you know how much this time? It's a waste that you don't go into private equity. Second brother, how much is it? Did you give fourth brother a big red packet? Haha. Li Yao asked with a smile. He had asked more than once on the way here, but Jia Yuan didn't say anything. How much? If I tell you, you'll be scared to death, Jia Yuan said loudly. After deducting the small change, there's still 110 billion yuan left. That's really amazing. It's fine that Brother Tengfei and Little Ling Mo's family gave more than 100 million yuan, but you guys don't know that there are several families in the imperial capital that gave more than 100 million yuan. There's also the Cloud Jade Association that directly gave 700 million yuan. Chapter 343. Guopai was also stunned. He didn't expect there to be so much money. He had only been in the human world for a few days, and he didn't expect to make such a big fuss. Fourth brother, are we really going to donate all this money? Jia Yuan whispered as he handed a black card to Guopai. There was some money on the card, about 30 billion, and most of the checks needed to be processed. Of course, why not? Haha, second brother, this small amount of money is our own money. There's nothing wrong with taking it from Huaxia and using it from Huaxia. Guopai smiled and said, in 2 days, I'll be going to the United States with Little Lingma. We'll get some money from the foreigners and keep it for ourselves, haha. Going to the United States? My dear brother, don't do something like that again. We won't be able to get there in time, Li Yao said loudly, scratching his head. Brother Yao, I remember that you suffered a loss in the United States a few days ago. Don't you want to get back at them? I'm going to take revenge for you. Look at what you're saying. We're a soldier king, so why are we such a coward? Guo Pai joked. Guo Pao's words left Li Yao speechless. However, when he thought about his fourth brother's abilities, it seemed that even if he went to America, those big noses who only knew how to use guns to mess around wouldn't be able to do anything to him. Li Yao didn't say anything else. They sat together and chatted until 8 o'clock in the evening. Guo Xiao prepared a table of delicious food for everyone, and everyone ate happily together. Before Lin Shuang went to bed, Guo Xiao took her pulse. She had been through a lot today. Fortunately, he had given her a miscarriage prevention pill in the morning. Otherwise, it would really be troublesome. However, this time he was going to the United States, and he had to send off his girlfriends one by one. Tang Shi and Su Yi were in the same room as Tang Shi said softly, "Big brother bad guy, why don't you find someone to tell the people in the special ability group not to let little Ling Mo go to the United States? You shouldn't go either. Big sister Lin Shuang is pregnant now. You know, big brother Yao suffered a loss last time. Don't let anything happen to you. Don't worry, there won't be any problems. I also want to go abroad and see if I can open Bugyaku in the most awesome empire on earth." Guo Pai smiled and hugged Tang Shi. "Xiao Yezi, you haven't seen your brother for so long. Did you miss your brother? Come over and let your brother kiss you. So be it. I'm not afraid of you." Su Yi, on the other hand, wasn't as reserved as a little girl. She directly threw herself into Guo Pai's arms and kissed Guo Pai in front of Tang Shi. Tang Shi's little face flushed red. This little Yi. However, Guo Pai wasn't a virgin. Not only did he kiss Su Ye's little mouth, his hands weren't idle either. He touched more than one person, and Tang Shi was also implicated. "Big bad guy, we will graduate in 2 years. At that time, we also want to have a wedding like this," Su Yi said with a slightly red face. Tang Shi also nodded. Guo Pai's hand was still on her breasts, causing Tang Shi to lower her head in embarrassment. "At that time, I will definitely give you a wedding that you will never forget." "Hee hee, Xiao Yezi, Tang Shi, you've been eating well recently. You've grown up. Guo Pai withdrew his hand and said with a smile. The two girls pinched Guo Pai's tender waist and twisted it several times, causing Guo Pai to run out of the room in pain. "Humph, big bad guy, the trick you taught us is still better." Tang Shi whispered, "Xiao Yezi, you're too bold now. You're really like a female hooligan now." "Little Tang Shi, you actually dare to say that about me. Just now, you were like a female hooligan, holding Guo Pai's hand and not letting go. You even said that about me." With that, the two girls started to quarrel in the room. Guo Pai naturally wouldn't favor one and discriminate against the other. After a while, he had already walked into Sun Ling Ling's room. "Little Ling Ling, why are you not happy today? Are you jealous?" Guo Pai said as he hugged Sun Ling Ling. "If I'm jealous, I'll die of jealousy." Sun Ling Ling replied with a smile, "I've already graduated from high school and don't want to go to college. I wonder if Master Guo is lacking people in Bugyaku? Can you let this little girl do a part-time job? No, if you come to Bugyaku, wouldn't you be smashing our family's reputation?" Guo Pai said with a smile, "Go to Origin International. We have so much money with Jia Yuan. Go and look after it, don't let the money be used in the wrong place." Sun Ling Ling immediately covered her mouth. At first, when Guo Pai said that he didn't want her to come to Bugyaku, she was a little unhappy. However, when he said that he wanted her to go to Origin International, Sun Ling Ling immediately became happy. Although she didn't go to college, Sun Ling Ling had been studying financial knowledge for the past 2 years. It would be best if she could go to Origin International. "Little Ling Ling, what are you so excited about? It's our own business. You girls have really changed a lot compared to the girls in ancient times. In the past, a girl's virtue was to have no talent. Now, all of you want to be strong women. With your personality, when you go to the heavenly court, the fairies will definitely like you. Guopai said to himself. Sun Ling Ling thought that Guopai was talking nonsense and didn't say anything. She obediently leaned on Guopai. Bad guy, you must be careful when you go to America this time. I'll wait for you to come back. I'm already 18 years old. I want you to give me a wedding like Teacher Lin Shuang's, Sun Ling Ling said with a red face. How can it be the same? Your husband will give you a better one. However, Lin Shuang has a little one in her belly. Why don't you get a little one too? As he said that, he didn't let Sun Ling Ling speak. After a while, the room was filled with endless spring scenery. An hour later, Guopai appeared in Yuer's room. Sun Ling Ling woke up and saw that the room was in a mess. She couldn't help but imitate Yuer and say, "Stud horse," before falling asleep. The girls all said the same thing. They just wanted Guopai to come back earlier. Guopai also agreed. Of course, he didn't forget to take advantage of them before he left. Finally, he returned to Yuer's place. Little Ling Mo and Yuer were sitting cross-legged on the bed. There were a few pieces of jade placed around them, just like a small spirit-gathering formation. Little Ling Mo, get up. Your big brother bad guy is here. Yuer smiled and woke up Nangong Lingma. They hadn't seen each other for a few days. Guopai felt that little Ling Mo's body was actually filled with immortal energy. Could it be that Yuer had taught him all the cultivation methods for immortal energy recently? Big brother bad guy, why are you only here now? Did you go and do something bad again? Little Ling Mo looked at Guopai and asked, Next time, bring me along when you do something bad. Let me learn from you. Why don't you do something bad with big sister Yuer? This sentence made Yuer's face turn red. How old was this girl? She was precocious. Definitely precocious. Big sister Yuer, where are you going? Don't go. I'm just kidding. Seeing Yuer turn around and leave, little Ling Mo made a funny face and said. However, Yuer walked away without looking back. He really didn't know what this little girl would say later. Guopai also looked at Nangong Lingma with a black face. Who taught him this? Could it be that he had been with little Yezi for too long? No, he had to find some time to have a good chat with little Yezi. Big brother bad guy, this is the invitation for the Special Ability Martial Arts Tournament. A total of 6 people from Huaxia will be going. I also have the information of the other 5 people here. We have to go to Japan together. Then, the Special Ability Group will arrange for us to go to the United States. Little Ling Mo whispered. Go to Japan? Why do we have to go to Japan? Wouldn't it be better if we set off directly from home? Anyway, the distance is about the same. Guopai asked with a smile. I don't know about this because from the beginning of the Special Ability Martial Arts Tournament, all the participants in Asia will gather in Japan, Ling Mo said softly. We can take 1 person each. Huaxia will go to the United States this time. It is estimated that there should be 12 people. Chapter 344. Guopai took the competition invitation and the information of the other 5 people that little Ling Mo had given him. It seemed that he would have to go to the Huaxia Special Ability Group to meet them tomorrow. Guopai did not stay in the house for long. Guopai had never thought of laying his hands on little Ling Mo. If he did, he would be too much of a beast. He came out and Yuer came in. Guopai then pulled her out and disappeared. An exquisite little gourd fell on the corner of the table. Big bad guy, you dare to use force on me now? If big sister finds out, she will skin you alive, Yuer said softly as she lay in Guopai's arms. Guopai had a smirk on his face, and his hands were still moving. Yuer, are you coming with me to America this time? I don't feel anything from divination now. If I don't divine my own fortune, you probably won't be able to divine anything, Guopai said softly. I'm not going. It's not fun there at all. A bunch of people who haven't fully evolved. Just looking at them makes me sick. Yuer smiled and said, I'm warning you, if I find out that you have the smell of those stupid women who haven't fully evolved, you can forget about touching me in the future. Guopai touched his nose. This Guopai's body seemed to have the memories of those Europeans and Americans. It was not as bad as Yuer said. Yuer seemed to have seen through Guopai's thoughts. She pinched a piece of tender meat and twisted it 3 times. It was so painful that Guopai could not speak. When the two came out of the gourd, little Ling Mo had already entered a meditative state. Guopai nodded lightly. This little girl was really hard-working. Guopai didn't say much and took out the yin-yang twin life jade. He wasn't worried about the imbalance of yin and yang. He sat cross-legged on the yin jade while Yuer sat gently on the yang jade. One side of the yang jade was pressed against little Ling Mo's body. The 3 of them formed a special balance of yin and yang. Then, a stream of heaven and earth spiritual qi was slowly injected into the array. The spiritual qi in the room was many times stronger than before. Of course, the spiritual energy in Guopai was abundant. Naturally, some people would feel that the spiritual energy in the capital had decreased. The most sensitive ones were Qiu Daoyuan and Li Shixin. However, the 2 of them would not say anything. They had cultivated for tens of thousands of years, so this bit of spiritual energy should be left to a few juniors. The next morning, when Guopai and the other 2 woke up, there were still many people coming to Bugyaku to deliver congratulatory gift. Of course, there were also more people coming to Bugyaku for treatment. However, at this time, Guopai had already followed little Ling Mo to the most mysterious place in Huaxia, the Huaxia Special Abilities Group. Brother Bad Guy, you are Brother Bad Guy, right? Nangong Lingmo walked out of the house and got into the car. When he saw a stranger sitting in the driver's seat, Nangong Lingmo could not help but ask when he saw the small gourd on his waist. How is it? Although this face is not as good as Brother Bad Guy's, a tall tree attracts the wind. It's easier to deal with it in Huaxia. However, when we are overseas, there may be people who will play dirty tricks. When that time comes, it will be troublesome. It's better to avoid unnecessary trouble, Guopai said with a smile. Brother Bad Guy, how did you do it? Let me see your human skin mask. How do you take it off? As he spoke, little Ling Mo reached out to tear Guopai's face. Guopai shouted in pain. Little Ling Mo, stop. The method you mentioned is too despicable. I have a better way, Guopai said with a pout. Nangong Lingmo widened his eyes. Because Guopai's face changed again, Nangong Lingmo also understood what was going on. After a long time, Guopai directly changed his meridians and muscles. Naturally, his appearance changed as well. Bad Guy, hee, I didn't expect you to be so thoughtful. Then I can't call you Brother Bad Guy. This time, 2 of the 5 people in the Special Ability Group are not on good terms with me. Don't let anything happen when the time comes. With a big trump card like you by my side, I have confidence now, hee. Nangong Lingmo said with a smile. I will call you brother in the future. You are called Nangong Hao, the guard of our Nangong family. What do you think? Nangong Hao? Little girl, you are taking advantage of me. If you change your name with your husband like this, you will be beheaded in ancient times. Guopai said with a smile, and Nangong Lingmo also laughed. The 2 of them drove to the most mysterious place in the capital. Brother Bad Guy, Huaxia's Special Ability Group is in front of us. Generally, all the registered special ability users are busy with their own things. When something happens, they come here together. Generally, there are not many people here, but looking at the situation today, there are a lot of people here. The 2 of them drove all the way to the easternmost part of the capital. They were almost out of the capital. There seemed to be a dilapidated, demolished house, but Guopai saw at a glance that this special ability group seemed to have a master. It turned out to be a smokescreen. Let's go in and have a look. The 2 of them were in a small car. Such a smokescreen was not a threat to Guopai at all. The 2 of them went straight in. Guopai was somewhat impressed by Huaxia's Special Ability Group. When they entered through the gate, the floor was covered with a layer of white marble, which was about 1 meter thick. There were various carvings on both sides. Who knew how much gold and silver had been used? There were a total of 216 large pearls the size of cobblestones from the entrance to the inside. Guopai could not help but exclaim that this was a big deal. The base of Hua Xia's special ability group was not based on modern technology at all. This should be a palace left behind by a powerful person in the past. Little Lingma, I haven't seen you for a year. I heard that you went to Wu Castle to study. I don't know if your psychokinesis has improved. If you can't even beat me, you better not go. Brother will find a way to get a death certificate for you, and we will forget about this matter. A somewhat seductive man said with a smile, but Nangong Lingma obviously did not like this guy. Little Lingma is not for you to call me that. I can't beat you? Have you forgotten how I knocked you out of the arena last year? As she spoke, little Lingma narrowed her eyes, and a terrifying aura rushed toward the man. The man naturally felt that something was wrong, but no matter how hard he tried, he could not escape from Nangong Lingma's power. I'm in a good mood today, so I'll let you go this time. Cough, cough, cough. Amazing. I, Wu Tao, am convinced today. After the man finished speaking, he quickly walked inside. Little Lingma put on a smile on her face again. Good brother, how was it? Not bad, right? If I were you, since the sneak attack was successful, I would kill him in one blow. Even if I didn't kill him, I would make him lose the ability to fight again. Little girl, when it comes to a life and death battle, you are still far from it. Guopai rubbed his nose and said, if someone else said this, Nangong Lingma would definitely not be convinced. However, since Guopai said this, she could only stick out her tongue mischievously. The two of them walked inside. Zhou Zhan, quickly look. Your little wife is here. Haha, Wu Tao was defeated by her just now. Aren't you going to give it a try? Someone in the crowd shouted, and a handsome young man looked at the entrance. However, his gaze directly fell on Guopai, who was holding onto Nangong Lingma. Let go of your dirty hands or die. Zhou Zhan stood up and said softly to Guopai. A wave of pressure was already directed toward Guopai. Noisy, Guopao said softly. He hadn't made a move yet, but Nangong Lingma's coercion directly pushed back Zhou Zhan's coercion. Chapter 345. Ling Mo, good, very good. You've made a lot of progress this year, Zhou Zhan said with a smile. Who's this person next to you? Just take care of yourself. You don't have to worry about me. Also, if anyone dares to say that I'm your little wife again, I won't be responsible if anything happens. Do you want to know who this is? The one who can make this little grandaunt take action is naturally my husband. As Ling Mo spoke, he pulled Guopai, then jumped up and kissed Guopai's face. Zhou Zhan's face suddenly darkened. Zhou Zhan was not the only one. The group of people behind Zhou Zhan stood up as well. They formed a horn-shaped formation and charged towards Guopao. This time, little Ling Mo did not care. He looked at Guopao with a mischievous smile. Noisy, really noisy. This young master has no time to play with you. As Guopai spoke, he waved his hand and the pressure disappeared without a trace. The group of ability users who revealed their pressure fell to the ground, and several of the weaker ones vomited blood. You actually dare to cause trouble in Hua Xia's ability group. You're also an ability user, but you don't have a record in the group. This friend, it seems that you want to make an enemy of Hua Xia's ability group, Zhou Tian said with narrowed eyes. External strife is useless, but internal strife is effective. I thought that Hua Xia's ability group would be better with a new leader, but it seems that I was wrong. Guopai narrowed his eyes and said, making an enemy of Hua Xia is a good choice for this young master. As soon as Guopai's voice fell, Zhou Zhan's face turned red. He naturally felt a little uncomfortable that Guopai had seen through his thoughts, but he recovered in the blink of an eye. If you make a move in Hua Xia's ability group, You're making an enemy of Hua Xia's ability group. The people behind him nodded. This is something that Dragon King Xiao Wudi gave to yours truly. He said that if yours truly were to take this, it would mean that Chairman Kai had committed treason. Yours truly isn't considered a traitor. I wonder if this thing will work. With that, Guopai tossed the Dragon King's token to Zhou. Zhou's face turned even uglier. Naturally, they all knew that the Gu family was finished. Although a lot of inside information had been revealed, and it was unclear whether it was true or false, one thing was certain: the T-Rex group was definitely involved. Since the young man in front of them had the Dragon King's decree in his hand, this matter was not easy to handle. If they offended this kid, it meant that they were going against the T-Rex group. Although the ability users were not afraid of the T-Rex group, they all knew in their hearts that you could find 10 or even 100 ability users to cause trouble for the T-Rex group. But in terms of unity, the ability users and the T-Rex group were not on the same line. It turns out that brother knows the Dragon King. I'm really sorry about just now. Brother, please come in. Lingma girl, you should have made it clear in advance. You came at the right time. Let's talk about this special ability martial arts tournament. Zhou returned the Dragon King's token to Guopai and said with a smile. Back then, the Gu family was able to throw the Zhou family a few streets behind. He did not want to ruin the Zhou family because of him. Guo smirked and walked behind Nangong Lingma. No matter whether you are happy or not, since you have admitted defeat, I will not bully you too much. After a while, a large round table was surrounded by people. Okay. Brother, how should I address you? I offended you just now. Please forgive me. Zhou sat beside Guopai and said politely again. Good, Nangong. You are older than me. I looked at the list of people going to the United States this time. You are also one of the 6 participants of the martial arts tournament. I will follow Lingma this time. You can call me good brother, Guopai said with a smile. Zhou nodded gently. Good brother, I hope you are really a good brother. Almost half an hour later, more and more people came to the hall of the special ability group. The auras of the people who came were different. Guopai could not help but look at several people, because they more or less had the aura of senior wizards. At this time, an idea suddenly came to his mind. It would be interesting to create a senior wizard corps in the human world. However, the people naturally did not know Guopai's thoughts. They thought that this was the first time that he had come to the special ability group, so he treated things a little differently. An hour later, more than 300 people had gathered in the special ability group. The door was slowly closed. Guopai could not help but have some doubts in his heart. This group of people with special abilities was too young. Zhou seemed to have seen through Guopai's thoughts and said softly to Guopai, Good brother, do you feel that all the people with special abilities are too young? This is not a secret. Since the beginning of the existence of people with special abilities, the longest they have lived is less than 100 years old. The more frequently they use their special abilities, the shorter their lifespan. Many people with special abilities generally find ways to seal their special abilities after 40 years old, so that they can live longer. Guopai nodded gently. The rules of the human world, this should be the rules of the human world. Zhou, we are all here. It's time for you to tell us about the martial arts tournament, a 2-meter-tall man said loudly. Pring Gang, a contestant of the martial arts tournament, was born with great strength. Zhou stood up with a smile and his eyes fell on the 2 people with their eyes closed, with a gloomy aura around them. Brothers of the Yin family, don't be so pretentious. This time, the 6 of us are a team. What do you mean by closing your eyes like this? Zhou said unhappily. Team? Captain Zhou, are you treating us as members of a team? That's funny. I hope you don't all die in the individual competition of the martial arts tournament. Otherwise, if we don't have enough people, we won't be able to fight in the team competition. A pair of twins said one by one, with a strange tone. Good brother, it's Ian Lei and Ian Shan. I have been registered in the Special Ability Group for a few years. Including this time, this is the third time I have seen them. I don't know what abilities they have, Nangong Lingma said softly. On the surface, it's Ian Lei and Ian Shan, but they have a second special ability, which seems to be related to space. Little Lingma, these two people should be the ones you said you didn't get along with, although you have only met them 3 times. Guopai said with narrowed eyes. Yes, the second time we met, I don't know what happened, but they attacked me. At that time, I was saved by Zhou Zhan and a few others. They didn't say why they attacked me. In the end, group leader Gu suppressed it, and the matter was left unsettled. Nangong Lingma said softly. Guopai nodded with a smile. Interesting. Things were getting more and more interesting. Since the two of you know that there will be a team competition in this martial arts tournament, then you should integrate into our team. That way we can guarantee the final victory of the team competition. Zhou Zhan said loudly. What does your life or death have to do with us? If you die, it's because you are not as good as others. If you are afraid, then don't go. Don't embarrass yourself later. The Yin brothers responded loudly. Zhou Zhan, since the Yin brothers know the rules of this tournament, you don't have to tell them. However, Peng Gang, Little Lingma, and I don't know the rules. Why don't you tell us? A man in white said with a smile. From time to time, a ball of flame would appear in his hand. Yen Feng, we brothers will remember what happened today. It's boring here. We are leaving. You don't have to worry about us when we go to Japan. We will fly there today. Let's meet in Japan. I hope you can survive the individual competition. After the Yin brothers finished speaking, the two of them walked out of Hua Xia's special ability group. Yin Lei, Yin Shan, I hope you don't do anything to let Hua Xia down this time. Otherwise, you will have to bear the consequences. Zhou Zhan looked at the two figures and punched the table. The solid wooden table sank with a fist mark. Yen Feng and Peng Gang nodded lightly. Chapter 346. However, after the two Yin brothers left, the atmosphere in the special ability group became a lot better. Guopai had more or less figured out that the two brothers were the outliers in the special ability group, and they had bad relationships with many people. Zhou Zhan, tell us about this special ability martial arts tournament. There's also the team competition. There seems to be a lot of changes this time, Yen Feng said with a smile. Zhou Zhan stood up, holding something that looked like a remote control in his hand. He pointed it at the air, and a big screen appeared in midair. The screen was crowded with people, and the words 18th Special Ability Martial Arts Tournament appeared on the screen. An old man stood under the words, and then the old man explained the rules of the tournament in fluent Mandarin. A total of 378 countries will participate in this martial arts tournament, and 1,380 contestants will participate. All contestants will participate in the individual competition. The individual competition will be a knockout competition. The winner will enter the winners group, and the loser will enter the losers group. If the loser fails again, they will be eliminated. The top 3 places of this special ability martial arts tournament will be determined, and their countries will have the rights to all the resources in this area. A 3-dimensional mountain range appeared in front of the old man. It was painted with 3 colors, and the symbols on it were 1, 2, and 3. The moment the mountain range appeared, Yen Feng and Peng Gang stood up abruptly. Of course, they knew where this was. This was Wu Xiu's heaven. Guopai looked at the mountain range thoughtfully. All Tier A and above countries can choose to participate in the team competition, while Tier AA and above countries must participate in the team competition. Considering that there will be casualties in the individual competition, each country will be allowed to add 2 arcanists as substitutes for the team competition. The winner will have the right to use this place for 100 years. As the old man spoke, a small island appeared in front of everyone. Guo Pai stood up abruptly. Even Zhou Zhan was stunned, because he didn't know where the island the old man was pointing at was. However, it seemed that the young man following Ling Mo knew. Good brother, do you know where this is? Nangong Lingma naturally felt the change in Guo Pai and asked softly. I don't know what's in that mountain range, but if this island really exists, there must be a lot of treasures here. If we take this island, we can increase the strength of Hua Xia's special ability group by at least 10 times, Guo Pai said softly. Of course, he wasn't just talking to Nangong Lingma, but also to the others. Good brother, what's so special about this place? Brother, please tell us about it, Zhou Zhan said with a smile. Ever since he got the information about the martial arts tournament, he had looked up a lot of information and asked a lot of people, but no one knew why this island was the reward for the team competition. However, after hearing Guo Pai's words, this place seemed to be unusual. If we can take the first place in the martial arts tournament, I will tell you about this island. If we can't take the first place, it's better not to tell you. The temptation of that place is too great, and I'm afraid you can't help it, Guo Pai said softly. Zhou Zhan and the others didn't ask much. If the temptation was too great, it might not be a good thing for them. Then the old man talked about the 8 martial arts tournament reception points around the world. The reception point for Asia was set in Japan, which made this group of people extremely unhappy. Of course, Hua Xia was not the only one who was unhappy about the reception point in Japan. Taiji Tiger Korea and many Southeast Asian countries also raised objections. Baka, if they are unhappy, then they are unhappy. If we can take the first place in the martial arts tournament this time, let alone the reception point in Japan, even if we apply to hold the martial arts tournament in Japan, they won't have any objections, an old man said loudly on the top of Mount Fuji. Yen Feng, Penggang, we will go to Japan early tomorrow morning. Tomorrow, we will take a special plane directly from the capital airport. You two take your own things. The person following you is also Wu Xiu. He can take care of you more or less, Zhou Zhan said with a smile. The two nodded and left the supernatural ability group. Good brother, this time you will follow little Lingma. This girl will be handed over to you. I hope that if we encounter any difficulties, you can help us since we are all Hua Xia's people. Zhou Zhan didn't know why he said such words, but as the leader of Hua Xia's supernatural ability group in this martial arts tournament, he could feel that Guo Pai had an aura that he couldn't figure out. If we want to attend the martial arts tournament safely, I don't think we should leave tomorrow. Let's leave tonight. Sometimes it's much safer to not follow the schedule, Guo Pai said with a smile. Zhou Zhan thought about it and dialed the 2 people who had just left. At 9 o'clock in the evening, the capital flew directly to Japan. Good brother, are you really little Lingma's boyfriend? Guo Pai drove Lingma and Zhou Zhan. Later, they picked up a young man who was about the same age as Zhou Zhan and drove to the capital airport together. Zhou Zhan couldn't help but ask. Zhou Zhan, you are so annoying. I have said several times that when I grow up, I will marry my good brother. You are so annoying. You keep asking and asking. Guo Pai didn't speak. Nangong Lingma, who was sitting in the passenger seat, said again with her eyes wide open. Little Lingma, I don't believe your words. I asked my good brother. If it is true, I have to hear it from my good brother's mouth. Zhou Zhan was not angry and said with a smile. Little girl, I remember that you have been very close to Guo Pai from Bugyaku recently. Last time, someone said that they saw you at the opening of Bugyaku. Why do you like the new and dislike the old now? Little Lingma is not bad. When she grows up, I will accept her. Guo Pai reached out and touched Nangong Lingma's head and said with a smile. Zhou Zhan stared at the two for a while and shook his head with a trace of helplessness. Guo Pai and Nangong Lingma looked at each other and laughed. My brother Yen Lai. When the 4 of them arrived at the airport, Yen Feng and Peng Gang each had a person standing behind them. Yen Feng pointed to a young man who was about the same age as him, and said with a smile. Feng Rue Peak Xiantian, my childhood friend. Pring Gang pointed to a young man who was slightly younger than him, and said with a smile. Feng Rue looked at everyone and nodded. I won't say much about this person. My brother Yi Peng, you must have heard of him. This is good brother Nangong, the person that little Lingma brought. Let's get on the plane first and talk on the plane, Zhou Zhan said with a smile. The few of them nodded, but Yi Peng's gaze was always on Guopai. Guopai couldn't help but smile, and Yi Peng also revealed a rare smile. Good brother, stay away from that guy called Yi Peng. Zhou Zhan still has the nerve to call him brother. We all know that Yi Peng. He has been calling Zhou Zhan master since he was young. Who knows what the relationship between the two of them is? It's a mess. Little Lingma whispered in Guopai's ear. Guopai reached out and touched Nangong Lingma's head. You little guy, what are you thinking about every day? The few of them prepared to board the plane. Guopai stood outside the plane and strolled around. He was going to sit on this big guy again. Guopai couldn't help but feel a little scared. If something happened to this guy in the air, even if he could fly on his sword, he would probably lose a layer of skin even if he didn't die. Moreover, he had to take little Lingma with him now. Guopai couldn't help but shake his head, gritted his teeth, and boarded the plane. The plane took off. Yi Peng looked at the ground through the window. In an inconspicuous place, two men in black with backpacks disappeared into the night. Yi Peng frowned because the place where the two disappeared was not far from the plane that they were supposed to take the next day. Third uncle, ask your men to check the plane we booked earlier carefully. Someone is planning to attack us, but it seems that they failed. After Yi Peng said a few words in Zhou Zhan's ear, Zhou Zhan dialed a number with a dark face and said softly. About 10 minutes later, Zhou Zhan's phone rang again. The other side replied with 3 words. There's a spy. Chapter 347. Uncle Li, Ling Mo and I are now on the plane. We're going to participate in the supernatural martial arts competition. 10 minutes ago, 2 people wearing black clothes and carrying a black backpack disappeared from the Daidu airport. Can you check the surveillance and try to catch them? Guopai naturally heard Zhou Zhan say the word rape on the phone. It was easy to dodge an open spear but hard to avoid a hidden arrow. Guopai directly called Li Dafu and asked him to help check. Zhou Zhan didn't know Guopau's background, but he also told his third uncle on the other side of the phone that he must catch these 2 people. Then he looked at Guopao with a trace of doubt. Does this guy know how to calculate? Did he calculate that there will be sex slaves on the plane the next day? The plane took off. Guopao, who was not afraid of anything, could not help but hold the plane in his gourd in his hand. If something really happened, at least he could guarantee that he and little Ling Mo would not die. Damn it, he was scared after sitting on the plane for so many times. However, 2 hours later, the plane landed safely at Tokyo Airport. Guopai breathed a sigh of relief. However, as soon as they got off the plane, they saw the Yin brothers. The 2 were waiting for them at the airport. At this time, there was also a pair of twins standing behind them. Just like the Yin brothers, they felt a little uncomfortable. Not bad to be able to come to Japan from Huaxia alive. Let's go, the competition invitation is with Captain Zhou. We can't go by ourselves, Yin Lei said sarcastically. Did you release the rape on the plane? Yanfeng narrowed his eyes and asked. It's just a little joke. Didn't you already order to catch them? But I think you should give up. The 2 of them are probably dead, haha. Yin Shan said with a smile. Don't waste time, let's go to the reception of the martial arts competition. They didn't talk much and directly took a taxi from the airport. Naturally, no one was willing to sit with the Yin brothers. They took a total of 4 taxis and directly drove from the airport to Mount Fuji. Damn it, if I win first place in this martial arts competition, I'll set the next meeting point directly in Huaxia. At that time, before the martial arts competition starts, I'll directly kill this group of little Japanese. Peng Gang said loudly. He hated Japan. Ever since he could remember, Pringgang's grandfather had instilled in him the idea of an enemy. To deal with the Japanese, one had to die. In the last martial arts competition, Pringgang's uncle's death seemed to have something to do with the Japanese, which made Pringgang's hatred for the Japanese even deeper. After more than 2 hours of driving, Guopai and several people arrived at the foot of Mount Fuji. Then several Japanese people in kimonos took them to a place with excellent scenery. Besides them, many people had already arrived. Damn it. It's all raw. How am I supposed to eat it? It's always like this. A bearded man picked up a piece of sashimi with his 2 thick fingers and roared loudly. Balan, it's easy to eat cooked food. I'll help you. With that, not far away, a young man who looked like a Turk flicked his finger and a flame flew towards the man named Balan, almost burning his beard. Caesar, if you want to fight in advance, I'll accompany you. With that, Balan stood up. He was at least 2 meters tall and the whole loft shook. Can't you take a joke? Look over there, your good friend Hua Xia is here. Haha, this time they actually sent a little girl. I like it, haha. Caesar laughed and said. However, before he finished speaking, a flame flew directly towards him. Fortunately, he dodged in time, otherwise he would have been seriously injured. Caesar, remember my name, Yanfeng. I also play with fire. If you speak rudely again, I don't mind fighting with you. Yanfeng squinted his eyes and said. Caesar was stopped by a man behind him. The man nodded apologetically to Yanfeng and the others. I didn't expect this martial arts competition to be so intense. Guopai couldn't help but say. He looked around. There were more than 100 people and all kinds of energy fluctuations. Interesting. Guopai and the others sat down. Many people looked at them with different expressions. Guopai could naturally tell who was a friend, who was an enemy, and who was neutral. When it was almost 12 o'clock, the host of the reception area arrived. He was an old man followed by 9 Japanese samurais in martial arts suit. It's an honor to see everyone here. As the reception area of the Asian region, I hope everyone can achieve good results in this martial arts competition. I won't waste your time. According to the rules of the Martial Arts Competition Organizing Committee, we have prepared a plane for each participating country. Everyone, get ready to board the plane in an hour and fly directly to Las Vegas. After the old man finished speaking, his figure flashed and disappeared in front of everyone. Many people widened their eyes. Ninja, he seems to be a jounin. His aura is very similar to the guy who was killed by Shu Mountain last time. I wonder when Fuji Daoist will visit Japan. It'll be perfect if I kill this group of annoying guys. Guopai thought to himself. Of course, he could find the trace of the old man who disappeared, but he couldn't do it now. An hour later, the food provided by the Japanese was really not very good. Of course, many people didn't eat the food provided by them. Who knew if these shameless guys would poison them? However, Guopai was very happy to eat alone. It was a waste not to eat. They were all first-class salmon slices. He made a small fire by himself and roasted them. When the time was up, a group of people was taken to another place in Mount Fuji. They couldn't believe that there was an airport in such a place. 50 identical planes were parked at the airport, which surprised many people again. They had to admit that the Japanese had spent a lot of money for the reception work this time. My good brother, do you think the Japanese on these planes will play tricks? Ling Mo asked softly. Several others also looked at Guopai unconsciously. Let's check them before boarding. There shouldn't be any problem. No matter how rampant the Japanese are, they dare not play tricks on so many planes. Guopai said softly. The others nodded. You Hua Xia people are too timid. In the words of you Hua Xia people, it's called gauging the heart of a gentleman with one's own yardstick. These planes were all arranged by the organizing committee. Like you, it's the first time for us to see these planes. A Japanese man said loudly in fluent Hwasya language. Haruchi Yamamoto, you're right. In the last martial arts tournament, at least 13 people were killed by you guys before you went to Las Vegas. How can we not be wary of you? Before Guopao and the others could speak, a few Tai Chi tigers beside him said loudly, and the others nodded. If you don't dare to board the plane, then don't go to Las Vegas. Haha, you're going to die anyway. With that, a few Japanese stepped forward and held their heads high, looking like they were asking for a beating. Welcome, everyone. Being able to stand in front of us proves that you are the best paranormals in your country. I am Majay Charlie, the person in charge of the Asian martial arts competition. Everyone, get ready to board the plane. All the planes are provided by the American Boeing Company. It is absolutely safe. A bearded man said with a smile. If the planes were not provided by the Japanese, it would be relatively safe. Planes again. Guopai couldn't help but say. He unconsciously divined that it was a close call. Chapter 348. The Japanese walked onto the first plane with their heads held high. The other people also walked onto the planes according to the flags of their respective countries. After everyone had boarded, Majid Charlie smiled and boarded the last plane. An hour after the plane took off, all the planes carrying ability users began to spin in midair. All the ability users on the planes were stunned, not knowing what the organizing committee meant. Hello everyone, it's me again, Majid Charlie. Majid, who was the last to take off, smiled and said, there are too many participants in this year's martial arts tournament, double the number compared to previous years. The organizing committee did not prepare so many seats for the tournament, so we can only start the elimination round now. Next is the Pacific Ocean. You have 10 minutes. Everyone, jump. Those who can reach Las Vegas alive naturally have the qualifications to participate in the tournament. Good luck everyone, I'll be waiting for you in Las Vegas. After Majid Charlie's words, everyone was stunned. In the past, the organizing committee of the martial arts tournament had used all kinds of underhanded methods, but this time, it seemed that they had gone overboard. No, this is not a tournament. This is murder. Although we are ability users, we are not gods. How can we swim directly to Las Vegas? A few burly men on the plane shouted. At most, we will forfeit. Send us to a safe place. I'm sorry, sir. We can't fulfill your request. A voice came from the cockpit of the plane. There are still 7 minutes left. Please hurry up. Let us help you. After saying that, a small hole opened in the cockpit. Then, 4 high-explosive gas bombs were thrown behind. The pungent smell made several people cough violently. Jump. If we breathe in too much gas, we will definitely die. One of the big men said as he jumped down from the plane. Then, everyone on the plane jumped down. What should we do? Yen Feng asked with a smile. Swimming to Las Vegas is not a bad choice. Although Yen Feng was an expert in playing with fire, he was well prepared when he came from the imperial capital. Although he only brought a small backpack, it contained everything he needed to deal with emergencies in the wild. So what if he was an ability user? Ability users were also humans. Yen Feng's master had told him something, and he had always remembered it. Only ability users who were more careful than ordinary people could live longer than ordinary people. F*CK, it's high explosive gas. Jump. Pringgang couldn't help but say. However, Feng Rue pulled him back and knocked him unconscious. Gua smiled and gave him a thumbs up. Then, he walked to the cockpit. Hold your breath. Let me try to communicate with the two in the cockpit. Guopai said with a smile. A group of people looked at Guopai with a trace of doubt, but no one was prepared to jump off the plane. Cunning Huaxia, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and jump. This time it's gas shells. I have a lot of other good stuff here. Do you want me to give you something else? As he spoke, a small opening appeared in the cockpit. At this moment, Guopai made his move with lightning speed. The person who was about to throw something into the cockpit fainted. Before the pilot could react, he was already under Guopai's control. "Open the door," Guopai said with a smile. The pilot adjusted the plane to automatic flight mode and opened the door that connected to the cockpit. A group of people widened their eyes and several high-explosive gas shells directly fell through the door. "Guys, don't be idle. Throw the fainted guy out. We can't have a single person on this plane," Guopai said with a smile. Yen Lai, who was beside Yen Feng, laughed and threw the fainted big guy out of the plane. Then he gave Guopai a thumbs up. The others were not stupid. They immediately knew what Guopai did to the pilot. It should be something similar to hypnotism, but it was too fast. He directly hypnotized the pilot through the door. It was 100 times more powerful than an ordinary hypnotist master. The Yin brothers couldn't help but distance themselves from Guopai. "Brother, from the first time I saw you, I knew you were not an ordinary person. We two brothers have offended you before. I hope you can forgive us," Yin Lei said with a smile. They were afraid. Of course they were afraid. If they were hypnotized by this person, they wouldn't be able to display their abilities. "As fellow participants of Huaxia, I won't make a move against you. But you'd better restrain yourselves," Guopai said with a smile. His gaze fell on Yin Shan. "If you continue to try to use the law of space to deal with me, I don't mind letting you see what the law of space is." Since he had already revealed some of his strength, Guopai was naturally prepared to deter the Yin brothers. "You also know about the law of space?" Yin Shan's face suddenly turned pale. He couldn't help but ask. Just now, he had indeed used the space cut on Guopai. After all, with such a person who didn't seem like a friend by his side, he would definitely feel uncomfortable. Guopai no longer spoke. Yi Peng was even more direct. He threw the pilot out of the plane. Wasn't it just a plane? After finding the location of the martial arts tournament from the historical location, the people of Huaxia flew to Las Vegas in the most comfortable way. "I knew you Americans didn't have good intentions." There were originally 12 people on the plane. When the cabin opened, 4 people jumped out from the cockpit. However, before the 2 people in the cockpit could laugh, they felt a cold sensation on their neck. Their heads and bodies were separated. Ninjas, at least at the pinnacle of Chunin. They directly used a special method to enter the cabin. Then, the 4 people who jumped out of the plane reappeared in the plane. Peng. Tai Chi Tiger was also not an ordinary person. One of the teenagers kicked the door of the cabin and the cockpit, directly kicking a big hole in the door. If outsiders saw this scene, they would definitely be stunned by the scene in front of them. An expert, an absolute expert. He was able to gather his strength on the tip of his foot and burst out such a terrifying force. Even Wu Xiu, who was at the pinnacle of Xiantian realm, would find it difficult to withstand such a kick. "Open the door or you are dead," a Tai ability user said to the people in the cockpit. The 2 people didn't take this matter seriously at first, but a moment later, one of them suddenly widened his eyes. He couldn't be more dead. The pilot quickly opened the door, but he also couldn't escape the fate of death. One of the Tai ability user's followers had already taken over the plane. Then, some paranormals from other countries used various methods to solve the problem on the plane. However, at least 30 paranormals jumped off the plane. As for what method they used to get to Las Vegas, no one knew. Huaxia, Japan, Korea, Thailand, India, Myanmar, Mongolia, Saudi Arabia, India, Iran. The pilots and service staff of the ability users of these 9 countries are all dead. They have probably hijacked the plane, and the other planes are flying there. On the top floor of the largest casino in Las Vegas, a middle-aged man said to a man with an extremely devilish appearance, "9 countries. The strength of Asia cannot be underestimated. Market Charlie should be back soon. When he is back, tell him to come and see me," the man said with a smile. The woman under his crotch slowly stood up, and the room was filled with a sexual atmosphere. Davis, this is the situation in South America. The martial arts tournament is about to begin. You have to be careful. Abstain. If we can't get first place in the martial arts tournament this time, I don't think the old man will let you go. A white man pushed the door open and said to the devilish man with a smile, David, watch your attitude. Your identity is no different from her in my eyes. Davis pointed at the woman under him and said to David. David clenched his fist, but in the end, he didn't dare to say a word. Chapter 349. 3 hours later, Yi Peng parked the plane at the Las Vegas International Airport. Following that, the planes of the Japanese and the other 7 countries all landed safely. Magitech Charlie, who had already landed a while earlier, looked at everyone with a smile. Las Vegas welcomes everyone. I've already prepared dinner for everyone. I don't think our friends from other Asian countries will be able to join us for dinner. Let me bring you guys over first, Magit Charlie said with a smile, as if nothing had happened. The people who were able to take the plane to Las Vegas naturally wouldn't say anything. A row of Lincoln limousines brought the ability users from the 9 countries to the most luxurious hotel in Las Vegas. Damn, this is really extravagant, Pring Gang couldn't help but say. After they got out of the car, Pring Gang couldn't help but say. Compared to China, the Hilton Hotel in Las Vegas was indeed magnificent. Bad guy bro, let me tell you. Before we came here, Sister Ewer told me to keep an eye on you. If you dare to look at that big-breasted woman so brazenly, I will definitely tell Sister Ewer. Let's see how she will deal with you when we get back, Little Lingma whispered as he pulled Guapai to the side. Ahem, Little Lingma, I was just researching a problem. Think about it, they are all humans. How can they be so big? Could it be that they are sick? As a doctor, this is my instinct to save the dying and heal the wounded. Nangong Lingma was stunned, and then her small hand pinched the soft flesh of Gua Scoundrel's waist. Nangong Lingma was stunned, and then her small hand pinched the soft flesh of Gua Scoundrel's waist. Big bad guy, what's there to research? That woman who was wearing revealing clothes just now didn't have as big a chest as Sister Ewer. I saw that you were looking at her for a long time. No, you were looking at her thighs first. Are you going to study her thighs too? Ewer said loudly. This time, Yen Feng and the others heard it and laughed loudly. He had to admit that the dinner this time was very sumptuous. There was lobster that was more than a meter long, the legendary Stratarga Bianco Platinum Caviar that cost $40,000 per scoop, Tuscan white truffles, delicious foie gras, 1982 Lafitte, and even the mineral water was Hawaiian Kona nigiri. This caused quite a few people to widen their eyes. However, Guapai and Little Ling Mo weren't just going to stand there and stare. Let's eat. After all, it wasn't his money. Good brother, the caviar just now was really delicious. Make me another bowl. Little Ling Mo wiped his mouth and passed the small bowl in his hand to Guapai. Guapai did not stand on ceremony. Guapai ate more than half of the caviar that was originally not much. He did not care about the group of gentlemanly fellows around him eating little by little. After finishing the food in his hand, Nangong Lingma held a small wine glass and said softly, It's a pity that Sister Wei Wei and the others can't eat it. Although these dishes are not as delicious as the ones you cook, they are still delicious. Honorable Miss, I'm the head chef of this hotel. Like you, I'm from Huaxia. Some of the Western dishes that you ate just now were cooked by me. However, I don't quite agree with what you said just now. I don't believe that there is any food in the world that can surpass the taste of my cooking. Nangong Lingma and Guapai did not expect that the middle-aged man beside them, who had the same skin color as them and was wearing a suit, was actually a chef. I received a notice today that a group of honorable guests will be coming to the hotel. Of course, I'm off work now. However, I don't mind learning from this little brother in cooking. This is my name card. Pao Long, as he spoke, The middle-aged man handed a gold-stamped name card to Nangong Lingma. Jack, what's the matter? These people are the same as you, also from Huaxia. You can get to know each other better. Madget Charlie saw that Pao Long seemed to be talking to Guopai and the others, so he quickly walked over. Pao Long's English name was Jack. The reason why Madget was so polite to Pao Long was because the boss of the American Special Ability Group liked to eat his food. If he offended Pao Long, he would definitely not be able to bear the consequences. Charlie, it's nothing. I'm just discussing the food with my fellow countrymen. You can go back to your work, Pao Long said with a smile. However, when they talked about the food, four middle-aged men walked over to Guopai and the others. Guopai glanced at them and immediately knew what they were doing. Just like Pao Long, they were chef. Jack, it's time to get off work. Why don't you have a few drinks? I wonder if something interesting happened. A black chef said with a smile. It's nothing. I just feel that the food you guys make is not bad. It's just that the taste is a little lacking. Who are you people? Don't disturb us from eating. Little Ling Mo finished the food in the cup in one gulp and said unhappily. He was just speaking the truth. There was no need for a group of people to surround him. The taste is a little lacking? Dear miss, I don't know which dish you are talking about that is lacking. If you can tell me, I swear on my grandfather's name that I will follow you in the future. The black chef might have stayed with Pao Long for a long time, so he actually spoke fluent Huaxia. Everyone, I'm sorry. My sister is talking nonsense. The food in the restaurant today is very good. I like it very much, Guopai said with a smile. He didn't want to be in the limelight. No, dear sir. Recently, I heard from a Huaxia friend in the United States that there is a restaurant in the capital called Paradise on Earth. The food there is very delicious. I'm going to take some time to go back and have a look. I think that since this lady said that the food you make is better than mine, she must not be joking. Pao Long said sincerely. Since you want to see my cooking, I'll take up some of your time. Why don't we go to your kitchen? I'll make some food for everyone to try. Guopai said with a smile. It seemed that if he didn't make some food, he wouldn't be able to get rid of these chefs. He really didn't expect that when he arrived in Las Vegas, not only did he not participate in the special ability martial arts competition, but he also started working with a group of chefs. Charlie, the people you brought are challenging the restaurant. Today, Jack is going to compete with his fellow countrymen. We have to go back later. One of the chefs, an Italian, said loudly in fluent English. A group of people looked over. Most of the people who came to eat here today were paranormals, and they were very picky about the food. However, they were very satisfied with the food made by Pao Long and this group of chefs. They had never thought that the paranormals from China would be the first to compete with these chefs. Challenging the restaurant, hee. Good brother, you must win. Not only must you win against Uncle Jack, you must also win against these foreign chefs and show the prestige of our country. Little Ling Mo said loudly. Zhou Zhan's face was filled with black lines. Yan Feng and Peng Gang laughed. This little girl was really cute. Competing in cooking to show the prestige of our country. It had to be said that Pao Long was very famous in Las Vegas. The competition here hadn't started yet, but a group of people who claimed to be American gourmet came to the hotel. Each of them took out $10 million and asked to be the judges of this competition. This money would belong to the winner of the competition. My God, the biggest casino in Las Vegas actually opened a bet. The Hilton Hotel's chef will compete with the mysterious young man from Huaxia. The odds are 1 to 100. Someone in the crowd couldn't help but exclaim. Cough cough. It's serious. Guopai couldn't help but cough twice. Little Ling Mo, I didn't bring much money to the United States this time. Help me find a way to bet $100 million on the bet that will let us win 10 billion. When Guopai's voice fell, the group of people widened their eyes. This young man from Huaxia must be crazy. Chapter 350. Good brother, I'll ask Brother Yuan for the money first. Little Ling Mo stuck out his tongue, picked up the satellite phone, and called Jia Yuan directly. Jia Yuan was one of the few people who knew that Guo Pai went to the U.S. with Little Ling Mo. Without hesitation, he transferred $200 million to the card provided by Little Ling Mo. Little Ling Mo was even more impolite. He directly bet all $200 million on the bet that Guo Pai would win in Las Vegas. $200 million to win $20 billion. If you win $10 billion, I'll bet $10 billion, Little Ling Mo said with a smile. The surrounding people who could understand Huaxia were even more surprised. Las Vegas even created a column, and the amount of bets on it changed rapidly. However, the bet that Guo Pai would win was much slower than Pao Long's bet. Little brother, you're a guest from afar. How do you want to compete? Pao Long said with a smile. The other chefs had even changed their clothes. They had absolute confidence in winning this young man in front of them. Other things aside, they would be very happy if they could get a share of the $80 million prize from the 8 judges. You 5 chefs, let's compete in 5 rounds. As long as I lose 1 round, I lose. As for what we compete in, you can decide. Guo Pai said with a smile. The expressions of the group of chefs became more vivid. The chefs who had changed their clothes directly picked up the phone. Over the years, they had accumulated a considerable amount of wealth in the Hilton Hotel. Although betting on themselves wouldn't bring in a huge amount of money, they were still happy to do something like turning $1 million into $2 million. Bastard, you bet on the wrong guy. Why did you bet on that Huaxia boy? A middle-aged man with a bottle of wine in his hand reached out and threw his money on the bet that Guo Pai would win in the casino. A woman with heavy makeup beside him pulled him and said, I didn't bet on the wrong guy. I bet on this Huaxia boy to win. If he wins, I'll win $3 million, and I'll be able to pay off my debt to Hunter. If he loses, then so be it. I can't pay Hunter back anyway, the drunkard said while shaking his body. Hunter will kill you if he knows you think that way. The woman said loudly. The drunkard didn't care. He held the gambling slip tightly in his hand, as if he had already gotten the $3 million. Jack, let's start. I can't wait to compete with this young man. The black chef smiled and said, You don't have to change your clothes. I can handle him myself. Anthony, you can be the first to fight. But let's make it clear in advance. If you beat the little brother, you can only get 1/6 of the $80 million reward. We want to split it equally. But if you lose, no matter who wins later, you can only get 1/16 of the reward. Pao Long said with a smile, The 5 of you can go first. The reward rules are the same as Anthony's. If you agree, I can let you go first. If you don't, I'll do it myself. As for the reward, you can forget about it. Several chefs nodded in agreement. This time, Jack was the one who initiated the bet. They all agreed to the distribution of the prize money. Even if it was only 1/6 of the prize money, it would still be more than 10 million yuan. This money could only be earned by working hard for more than 10 years in Hilton. Huaxia, boy, I'm best at making desserts. Most of the desserts in the Hilton Hotel are made by me. Since it's a bet, I won't hold back. Let's compete in making desserts. There are no special restrictions. I make a dessert and you make one. Let the judges taste it. If they say that your dessert is better than mine, I lose, Anthony said with a smile. The other chefs nodded. Anthony's attainments in desserts had reached a new level. In addition to the Hilton Hotel, other 3-star Michelin hotels around the world had also invited Anthony to teach them dessert. But no matter how much Anthony taught them, the chefs who learned from him couldn't make desserts that tasted like his. The British royal family even awarded Anthony a Duke's Medal after eating his desserts at a party. This made Anthony famous in the catering industry. As for Guo Pai, many people began to search for his name, but they were disappointed. They found nothing. He was just an ordinary young man in Huaxia. There was no introduction about him as a chef. When the competition started, Guapai didn't do anything. He just watched Anthony prepare the dessert ingredients one by one. The people in the audience couldn't help but shake their heads. This young man in front of them didn't seem to know how to make desserts at all. He was just watching Anthony do it. When Anthony was almost done, Guapai began to move. Everything was the same as Anthony's. His mixing technique was also the same as Anthony's. While he was busy, he stared at Anthony from time to time, copying Anthony's movements at every step. Anthony put all his energy into the ingredients and didn't notice that Guapai was looking at him. When he put the last delicate carving on a palm-sized mousse cake, Guapai also put the carving in his hand on his own mousse cake. Two seemingly identical cakes were presented in front of everyone. The people outside didn't know what had happened, but the group of chefs in the kitchen were already stunned. Guapai's technique and skills just now had already exceeded their understanding. Did he already know how to do it, or did he just learn and use it? They were completely stunned. How could it be possible to learn and use it now? Jack, what are you looking at? This is the mousse cake I have just studied recently. How is it? It's not bad, right? Anthony didn't look at Guapai. He looked at Pao Long and said with a smile. Anthony, this little brother made a mousse cake that is exactly the same as yours. Pao Long calmed down and said. Anthony's eyes suddenly fell on the cake made by Guapai. Oh no no no. Anthony shook his head and said, Impossible. This is the first time I have made this cake. How could he make this kind of cake? It's impossible. Anthony, calm down. Maybe he just imitated the appearance of your cake. How could the taste be comparable to that of a Michelin 3-star chef like you? A white chef said with a smile. Although the two cakes looked exactly the same, he didn't believe that Guapai's cake would taste the same as Anthony's. Gentlemen, I think we should take the cake out. I'm afraid it will affect the taste of the cake if we wait for a while. Guapai said with a smile. Anthony nodded. Guapai was right. This cake tasted the best when it was just made. After 10 minutes, the taste would be greatly reduced. This was also the reason why Anthony didn't put this mousse cake on the menu. The first round of the competition is over. The two chefs have brought their cakes up. We have made a special mark on the two cakes. I don't know which one was made by Chef Anthony, and which one was made by the god chef Huaxia. Now we will let the judges decide the winner between the two cakes, a blonde said with a smile. A golden-haired youth said with a smile. This person was very famous. He was a gold medal host of an American radio station, Pierce. The 8 judges looked at the two cakes with a trace of expectation. Then they were stunned. The two cakes were exactly the same. They couldn't tell which one was better just from the appearance of the cake. However, the two cakes were indeed very appetizing. Let the 8 judges have a taste. There are 5 cooking competitions today. We have to decide the winner quickly, Pierce said with a smile. Chapter 351. An old lady among the judges was very interested in the 2 pieces of cake. She took a knife and cut a piece of mousse cake with trembling hand. When she was about to cut the second piece, the original mousse cake was directly divided into 8 equal parts, which made the old lady widen her eyes. If the taste is the same, the cake that is split by itself will win, the old lady said with a smile. Anthony's face was a little ugly, because he knew that his cake would not be divided into 8 parts directly. Mrs. Susan, the 4 of you taste the split cake, and the 4 of us taste the cut cake, and then we will exchange. What do you think? An old man sitting next to the old lady said with a smile. Mr. Watson, let's do as you say. After a while, a cake was placed in front of each judge. The 8 people first rinsed their mouths with water, and then picked up the cake to eat. I want to see the 2 chefs. This is so delicious. Why do you let me eat such a dessert? I will be addicted to it in the future. 10 million a month. I want to hire the chef to make desserts for me at home. Mrs. Susan said loudly. The other three people on her side nodded. They wanted to say something, but didn't know how to express it. Delicious, really delicious. I think this cake should be made by Anthony. It's so delicious, Mr. Watson said with a smile. The cake he had just eaten was really delicious. The other three people on his side also nodded. Mr. Watson, although I don't know what your cake tastes like, I think it's at most as delicious as mine. Susan smiled as she divided the remaining half of the cake into 4 portions, one for each of them. Watson then took the 4 pieces of cake that had been divided in front of Mrs. Susan and put them in front of him. Then the 8 people rinsed their mouths with water again, and then ate the cake in front of them again. But this time, the 8 people's expressions were completely different. After the 4 people on Mrs. Susan's side took a small bite of the cake, their expressions became quite ugly. An old man even quietly spat out the cake, and didn't want to eat a second bite. Mrs. Susan was better. She swallowed the cake and then drank a lot of water. The moment Watson's mouth touched the cake, he stood up abruptly and took a big bite of the cake into his mouth. He chewed slowly with his eyes closed as if he wanted to keep the taste in his mouth. The other 3 people were not any better. One of the young women even shed tears. Delicious. Delicious. Watson said loudly. I want to know who made this cake. Like Madame Susan, I'm willing to pay another 10 million to invite the chef to the Watson family. Although I know it's very presumptuous, I still hope the chef can agree to my request. At this time, the kitchen had already quieted down. Others did not know, but the few of them naturally knew that that piece was made by Guapai and that piece was made by Anthony. This time, Anthony was completely defeated. Hello, let's get to know each other. My name is Deo Anthony. Anthony had already changed his clothes. From the expression of Mrs. Susan just now, he already knew that he had lost this time. He had lost completely to a Huaxia that he didn't think could win against him. However, a loss was a loss, and this time, he accepted his defeat wholeheartedly. Guopai from Huaxia. This is my real name, but I don't want too many people to know it. Mr. Anthony, I didn't win this time. I made this mousse cake according to your method. Guopai stretched out his hand. His mouth didn't move, but Anthony heard Guopai's voice. Because he had met superhumans before, Anthony had a rough idea of Guopai's identity. He nodded slightly. Ladies and gentlemen, the first round of the competition is over. However, I think we should leave the results of this competition until the end. Let's see the second round of the Battle of Divine Chefs, Pales said loudly. However, the audience was already in a mess. Guopau's cake was completely eaten up, but the remaining part of Anthony's cake was taken away by the audience. They couldn't believe that such a dessert would lose. When the second round of the cooking battle began, the audience began to calm down. My name is Tim Mark. I'm good at cooking seafood. I'd like to learn from you. This time, it was a short white man. He was the head seafood chef of the Hilton restaurant. After what had happened to Anthony, he no longer looked down on Guopai. The dish I'm going to make this time is Mediterranean shrimp sauce. It's a very simple dish. If Mr. Nangong can make a seafood dish that is better than my Mediterranean shrimp sauce, I'll admit defeat. Guopai nodded with a smile. This time, he was different from before. During his time in the Huaxia, Ur kept pestering him to make all kinds of delicacies, so Guopai would take some time to look at some recipes. Of course, Guopai's comprehension ability was very good. He almost finished all the dishes in one try. As for seafood, Guopai thought of a good dish. A 1-meter-long lobster was fished out of the water by Mark, and then soaked in a pot of Volga that he had already prepared. After a while, he quickly opened the lobster's hard shell with his hands. The other chefs nodded. Mark was a retired Navy officer. By chance, he had obtained a recipe book. Then, relying on his own tenacity, he slowly figured out the method of cooking seafood. Ordinary people could not open the lobster's shell with their hands, but Mark could do it easily. This method was similar to Pao Ding's method of dismembering an ox. Only someone who was familiar with lobsters could do it. At this time, Guopai also began to move. His method was similar to Mark's, but obviously more violent. First, he directly broke the lobster's two big pincers, then broke the lobster's shell and took out a piece of intact lobster meat. The two looked at each other and nodded as if they were bosom friends. "Oh no, no, Mark, you can't do this. Your hands will be burned, and it will affect your future career as a chef." The oldest chef among the chefs said softly to Mark. There was no other reason. After Mark prepared the concentrated sauce, he directly picked up a stainless steel pot and began to boil the sauce. However, his right hand did not wear any protective gear. He held the stainless steel pot directly. After 10 minutes, the sauce was boiling and the stainless steel pot was red, but Mark still held it with his hand. "Mr. Wilson, only by feeling the temperature of the sauce can I find the perfect temperature for the meat of this Mediterranean lobster. It will be done soon. I'm fine." Mark's other hand wasn't idle either. He had already picked up a small knife and quickly cut the lobster into slices. "Now!" Mark shouted. He could feel that his palm could no longer support the temperature of the stainless steel pot. He directly poured the sauce into the plate of lobster. The Mediterranean sauce lobster was done. At this time, Mark's right hand was already beyond recognition. However, Guopai's next move made Mark's eyes widen. Guopai directly held a stainless steel pot with the prepared sauce in his hand. After a while, the sauce also began to boil, but the stainless steel pot was already red hot. Guopai did not show a trace of pain. The moment the fragrance of the sauce spread, Guopai took out a wine gourd and directly covered the lobster meat under his hand. The originally motionless lobster meat seemed to have a life of its own. It trembled violently, and then the sauce was poured on the lobster meat. Mediterranean sauce drunken shrimp. Chapter 352. The appearance of the two prawns was very similar, but the sauce was different, so the smell of the sauce was naturally different. The smell of Guopai's Mediterranean drunk prawn was obviously much weaker than that of Mark's. "Mr. Nangong Hao, I hope that my Mediterranean drunk prawn can be tasted by the judges first. Although I know it's unreasonable, please, because the smell of my prawn can't last for too long," Mark said softly, and the group of people widened their eyes. They didn't expect Mark to make such a request. There was only one explanation for Mark's request, and that was that Mark wanted to take advantage of others. "Then let's bring Mr. Mark's soy-drunk prawn to the judges first. My prawn needs to be sobered up. It seems that it was really drunk just now," Guopai said with a smile. Mark nodded quickly. Only he knew the real reason for his request just now. He didn't want to encounter Anthony's situation just now. He was afraid that after the judges tasted Guopai's prawn, it would be difficult for them to swallow their own food. Mark's prawn was brought in front of the judges. Several waiters of the hotel used a thin thread to gently cut some prawn meat for the judges and put it on everyone's plate. A burst of sauce fragrance accompanied the pure taste of the prawn meat, and many people behind couldn't help but lick their lip. 10 million, it's really worth it. If I had known, I would have also spent 10 million to get a seat as a judge. 10 million to taste 10 delicious dishes, it's really worth it. A middle-aged man couldn't help but say. Several people around him nodded, which made the people behind him widen their eyes. There were so many rich people. "Mrs. Susan, please comment on this Mediterranean drunk prawn first. I already know who made this dish, and it's not convenient for me to comment now," Mr. Watson said with a smile. "Watson, do you think that only you can taste who made this Mediterranean drunk prawn, but this old woman can't taste it? It seems that little Mark didn't use his full strength in making these Mediterranean drunk prawns for us all these years. This is his true strength," Mrs. Susan said with a smile. "Dear Mrs. Susan, I know it's very presumptuous of me to make such a request, but I still want to ask. Can I have a taste of this sauce prawns? I've eaten the sauce prawns made by Chef Mark before, and I like this dish very much. However, since you've given such a high evaluation, I hope to have the honor of tasting it. A gentlemanly man in the audience said with a smile. Susan nodded gently. She had to give face to such a man, the most famous fashion designer in the United States, Mr. Picadero. I think it's my honor to share this delicacy with Mr. Picadero. Susan asked the waiter to bring a stool, and Picadero sat in the middle of the group. I hope no one has any objections to the 9 judges. This way, if the score is 4-4, I can solve the problem. As for the 10 million judging fee, I will have someone transfer it to the Hilton Hotel's account later. Since Mrs. Susan didn't have any opinion, they couldn't say anything. In addition, everyone's impression of Pierre wasn't that bad. Picadero, what do you think? Speaking of this dish, I think you are the most qualified to comment. If the rumors are true, you should be the one who told Mark the idea of using Mediterranean red bone prawn to make Mediterranean drunk prawn, Watson said with a smile. Uncle Watson, I just made a suggestion at that time. I didn't expect Mark to make such a delicious dish. Of course, this is not Mark's only specialty. After Picadero finished speaking, he put the shrimp in front of him into his mouth with a fork. I think after this competition, we should go and trouble Mark together. The prawn he made for us is much worse than the one in this competition, Picadero joked. Pierre said jokingly, the taste of this shrimp sauce can be ranked in the top 3 of the Michelin World's most delicious dishes this year. Picadero's second sentence made the group of foodies under the stage completely widen their eyes. The Michelin World Most Delicious Dishes meant that this dish was worth at least $1 million, and it depended on the chef's mood and whether he wanted to cook it for you. Now that everyone has guessed who made this dish of soy sauce prawns, let's have a taste of my soy sauce prawns. After about 10 minutes, Guapai saw that no one came to look for him, so he simply put the prawn in front of everyone. Huaxia boy, we know that you bet $100 million on yourself this time. You are really bold, but I'm afraid you will lose this dish, Picadero said with a smile. He didn't have a good impression of this Huaxia boy in front of him, because he didn't like young people who were too arrogant. Dear Judge, I can tell you this. With your attitude, sitting here as a judge of this cooking battle, you're dragging down the other judges. You're not qualified to comment on my drunken shrimp sauce, and you're not qualified to taste it. Guapao's words were even more impolite. Picadero's face immediately darkened. Little Ling Mo clapped her hands and cheered. She had just searched the internet and found out who this handsome middle-aged man was, but compared with her bad guy, he seemed to be far worse. Uncle, you're just a tailor who makes clothes. You're really not suitable to be a food judge. I think you'd better step down. I'll give you $10 million later. Little Ling Mo's words made Picadero's face even more ugly. A tailor who makes clothes? Haha, little girl, your metaphor is really appropriate, Guapai said with a smile. Several people who didn't get along with this arrogant Picadero also laughed. Dear Mrs. Susan, as the chef of this dish, I think I have the right to not let Mr. Picadero taste this delicious dish, Guapai said to Mrs. Susan with a smile. Mrs. Susan's face was a little ugly. After all, she had just agreed to let Picadero sit on the judge's table. I don't believe that you can beat Mark with this dish. It's fine if he doesn't taste it. I think after this dish, the result can be announced. Just now, you said that only the chef of the Hilton Hotel can win one round, and you will lose, Picadero said contemptuously. Stupid people never know how stupid they are. I can't believe that a person like you can be called a costume master. Little Ling Mo squinted and said, I'm afraid that you can only deceive the local people. When it comes to costumes, when you were still wearing leaves, Huaxia already had his own costumes. What's wrong, Mr. Picadero? If you don't believe me, do you dare to make a bet with me? You can't beat my good brother in terms of cooking. What was a slap in the face? This was a naked slap in the face. Ahem, ladies and gentlemen, I think we should first taste this delicious dish made by Mr. Nangong Hao, the chef of Huaxia, Pierce said with a smile. As the most excellent host, he had to stop this endless debate. Huaxia boy, you will lose. Ah, after all, he is just a tailor. Chapter 353. Hearing Pierce's words, Mr. Watson took a step forward and prepared to use the knife and fork next to his plate to separate Guapai's drunken prawns. Humph, how can he be a judge with this level of skill? Sigh, what a waste of such a delicious drunken prawn. Guapai didn't say anything, but a sloppily dressed middle-aged man with a bottle of wine in his hand said softly. The middle-aged man's words stunned Watson. He then looked below the stage. The sloppy middle-aged man in front of him made Watson's whole body tremble. John Doyle, the only Michelin 3-star chef 3 years ago. Later, for unknown reasons, he disappeared in the United States. Watson didn't expect to meet him here today. Others might not know him, but how could Watson not know him? Mr. Watson, I didn't expect you to recognize me. If you use the knife and fork in your hand to cut this drunken prawn, it will definitely affect the taste of the dish. If you want to truly enjoy the taste of this dish, I think it's better to let this Huaxia god chef help you, John Doyle said with a smile. Everyone's eyes fell on Guapai. Guapai gave John Doyle a thumbs up. Then, a piece of the shell of the Mediterranean lobster appeared in his hand. He slashed it more than 10 times at the prawn at lightning speed. Then, he gently knocked on the table, and the drunken prawn that was originally intact all fell apart. I'm afraid that in the entire Hilton Hotel, only you are qualified to taste this drunken prawn, Guapai said to John Doyle with a smile. After the cooking competition, I hope to have a chat with you, sir. I'm just a second-rate chef who has lost his sense of taste. But today's cooking competition is interesting. Haha, after your cooking competition, I'll come and find you, John Doyle said as he took a big gulp of wine from the bottle. At this time, the 8 judges' faces turned even uglier. They even thought that if this dish tasted similar to Mark's drunken prawn, they would directly declare Guapai as the loser. Let's see how long he can be arrogant then. The 8 judges picked up the drunken prawn on their plates and put it into their mouths with a trace of disdain. I thought it would be delicious. The taste is just so compared to Mark. A middle-aged man beside Watson chewed on a piece of meat and said with even more disdain. However, before he could finish his words, he could no longer make a sound. The other 7 judges were not much better than him. Mrs. Susan had already stood up excitedly and reached out to grab the remaining drunk prawns. However, at this time, Watson had already reached out and grabbed the corner of the plate. The two refused to give in to each other. As a judge, I think I need to eat another piece. When Watson and Susan scrambled for the prawn meat, an old man standing between them had already stabbed a piece of prawn meat with a fork. Closely after that, Susan and Watson reacted. Of course, so did the other judges. After a short while, there was no more prawn meat on the plate. A judge even stretched out his hand to wipe off the remaining sauce on the plate and sucked his finger in an extremely wretched manner. I've lost. I'm convinced. Mark saw the scene on the judge's table. Originally, he still had a glimmer of hope to turn the tables, but now there were only 7 words left. He was very glad that these people tasted his prawn first. Even now, he also believed that his prawn could definitely enter the Michelin World's Best Dishes. However, he knew that the prawn made by this Huaxia chef was far better than his. I believe that everyone has already reached a conclusion about the 2 dishes in their hearts. We'll ask the chef to go back first and prepare for the 3rd round of the competition, Pierce said with a smile. He naturally knew that Guapai had won this competition. There were still 3 more rounds to go, and he was looking forward to it more and more. That despicable Huaxia man. David, we can't let that Huaxia man win the competition. Losing money is a small matter. If the Hilton Hotel's chef loses to a Huaxia man, the Hilton Hotel will lose all its face. On the highest floor of the Hilton Hotel, an old man in his 50s shouted into the phone. On the other side of the phone was one of the main members of the American Special Ability Group, David. I'm watching the live broadcast. I'm afraid that the Hilton Hotel has already lost 2 rounds. That Huaxia guy is a follower of a member of the Huaxia Special Ability Group. We can't act rashly now. We can only hope that the remaining 3 chefs can win 1 round, David said with a smile. What does the Hilton Hotel's business have to do with me? Huaxia people have always been mysterious. Now is not the time to reveal my identity. The old man on the top floor of the Hilton Hotel slammed the wine glass in his hand to the ground and then dialed another number. Only then did the old man's face look a little better. The 3rd round of the competition was between Guapai and the Italian chef named Huygen. The 2 had already started. This time, the competition was about soup. Huygen looked at Guapai with a smile. He didn't believe that there was anyone in the world who could make soup that tasted better than his. Moreover, the taste of Huaxia people was very different from that of Europeans and Americans. This time, he had an absolute advantage. Guapai's choice of ingredients was very simple. When he saw Huygen's seafood soup, Guapai wasn't worried that he would lose at all. Huaxia's cuisine was extensive and profound. In the past, the Manchu Han Imperial Banquet would pay attention to the order of the dishes. The first dish would be meat and the next dish would be vegetables or dessert. If one didn't even know this principle, no matter how delicious the ingredients were, they wouldn't be a top chef. An hour later, the largest casino in Las Vegas had changed the odds of the cooking competition to 1-3. However, there was still a large amount of money coming in from Huaxia. All of them were betting on the chef god Huaxia's victory. Humph, a group of guys who are crazy about money. The boss of the Las Vegas casino narrowed his eyes and said when he saw that the bets of Huaxia's chef god were increasing. Just now, he received a call from the boss of the Hilton Hotel. He already had a plan in mind. A dead person couldn't complete the cooking competition. An hour and a half later, Huygen's 9 Treasures seafood soup was served in front of the judges. Pierre narrowed his eyes and looked at the seafood soup in front of him. He didn't know whether he should go down or sit there. However, he couldn't leave now. If he left, it would really be like what Ling Mo had said. He was just a tailor. Not only would it have a great impact on himself, but it would also have a great impact on the brand of the Pierre family. Although I don't know which chef this soup is made by, I still want to try it. No one spoke. Pierre said with a smile. He had already filled a small bowl, and then the other 8 judges also filled a little. Delicious, it's really the most delicious thing in the world. At least 7 kinds of rare ingredients have been added to this soup. The taste blends together. It's delicious, Pierre said and filled another bowl. However, when he looked at the other 8 judges, his face suddenly became gloomy. Could it be that these people drank something different from his? Why did they have such expressions? Mrs. Susan, Mr. Watson, don't you want to comment on this delicious dish? Pierce asked in a low voice. I think we'd better taste another chef's soup first before making a conclusion. Mr. Watson stood up and said softly. He drank the soup. Delicious? It was really not delicious. It even made him feel that it was hard to swallow. He looked at Mrs. Susan and found that she seemed to have the same feeling as him. She frowned. Damn, it must be the drunken shrimp with soy sauce. How could I forget about this? Huygen suddenly came back to his senses and slapped his head hard. Chapter 354. The waiter placed the soup prepared by Guapai in front of the audience. A pure aroma wafted out, and the judges immediately perked up. Why? Why is this soup made with only some radishes, cabbages, and shiitake mushrooms? I can't believe it, Watson couldn't help but say after drinking a bowl of soup. This vegetarian soup is the best soup I've ever tasted in my life. If the chef is willing to make this soup public, it will be a blessing for the world, Susan couldn't help but say. Guapai's lips curled into a smile. So what if he told them the recipe? Could it be that the true samadhi fire could be found everywhere? The winner of the third round of the competition had been decided. Although many people did not know who made the two soups, the chefs knew very well. Now, only Pao Long and Marco, the big guy from Germany, were left. I admit that Mr. Nangong Hao's cooking skills are indeed extraordinary, but I won't lose to you. Marco took a step forward and said softly, now that the competition has come to this point, let's do whatever we want. Guapai nodded slightly. According to Hua Xia, the big guy in front of him was Wu Xiu, and his strength should have reached the Xiantian realm. Guapai didn't know why such a master would lower himself to be a chef in a hotel. Steak? Marco actually knows how to make steak? Have you ever seen him make such a thing? Huygen, who had already recovered from the previous failure, asked softly. A year ago, Marco asked me about steak and he made a few steaks himself. At that time, I thought he just wanted to try something that he hadn't made before, Pao Long said softly. However, there was one thing he didn't say, because it was a secret between him and Marco. Jack, try this steak. 4 months ago, Marco had made an average-looking steak. He cut it and handed it to Pao Long, who had just finished work and was about to go to the bar for a few drinks. According to common sense, Pao Long would not have tasted such a tasteless steak. Pao Long could not believe that such a steak was made by Marco, who had always been known for his prudence. However, out of respect for his friend, Pao Long still tasted it. It was an unforgettable steak. Marco, how did you do it? This steak is too delicious. If the appearance of this steak is slightly more outstanding, it can definitely enter the Michelin world of delicacies. Marco, you are a genius, an absolute genius, Pao Long said excitedly. However, Marco's words stunned Pao Long. It's just a small piece of steak, Jack. If you're like me, you'll know that we were wrong about the way we made meat. They're alive, and we shouldn't disturb them. Marco's seemingly profound words made Jack completely stunned. However, Marco was going to make steak today, and Pao Long was looking forward to it. Guapai still did not start cooking. Just when Marco's palm patted the steak, Guapai laughed. He thought that Marco had some tricks up his sleeve, but it was just internal energy. However, using internal energy to make a steak would definitely be more delicious than a normal steak. You foreign devils have it easy. Guapai couldn't help but say in his heart. He took out something similar to a steak from his body like a magic trick. Guapai was not afraid of being caught by the kitchen camera. Just now, he took out the steak very quickly. With the current slow speed of the equipment, it was impossible to see. Guapai's 2 fingers scratched the meat bit by bit. Marco couldn't help but look at Guapai. In his heart, he already knew what this young man was doing. He obviously couldn't see any internal energy fluctuations, so why was he doing this? After a while, Marco ignored Guapai and focused on making the steak. Guapai's fingers moved faster and faster, and the meat in his hand showed amazing tenacity. Then, the two started cooking at the same time. The same butter, basically the same technique. The kitchen was filled with the delicious meat aroma, but obviously, the aroma of Marco's side was stronger. Marco lost. I have to think about what dish to cook to win against him. Pao Long thought to himself. Others might not have noticed it, but as someone who had been cooking steaks for decades, how could he not notice it? The aroma of Marco's beef was too strong, but Marco didn't notice it. Even the other chefs didn't notice it. They were only waiting for Marco to defeat this Chinese youngster and end the cooking challenge. The speed of making steak was very fast. Marco had improved a lot compared to a few months ago. If it wasn't for the cooking challenge with Guapai, his steak cooking skills would have surpassed Pai Long. At this time, Pai Long was even wondering if Guapai would suddenly make a mistake and let Marco, the new star of the cooking world, fall out of the water. The two basically turned off the fire at the same time. Marco's steak and Guapai's meat slices were put on the plate at the same time. In terms of appearance, Guapai's meat slices were a little worse. Mr. Nangong, it seems that in terms of appearance, I have one against you this time. Marco didn't look down on Guapai, but now he could finally relax. He didn't believe that Guapai's ingredients could win against his. This time, the two walked to the front of the 9 judges with their own dishes. At this time, the 9 judges no longer dared to look down on this Huaxia boy. Marco quickly divided the steak into several portions with a knife in his hand, and then put the pieces on the plates of the 9 judges. The judges looked at Guapai, and Guapai nodded slightly. The judges once again thought highly of Guapai. They knew that the taste and temperature of the steak had a great impact. Guapai dared to wait, which meant that he had confidence in his own cooking. Marco, come to my hotel. You will be the head chef and I will pay you double. I will talk to your boss, so you don't have to worry about him not agreeing. An old man who had been silent all this time said softly. Marco's eyes lit up, and then he shook his head gently. He knew that the old man in front of him had the ability, but he still rejected him tactfully. Now that you have tasted Mr. Marco's steak, please try this piece of meat that I casually made. Guapai said with a smile. Then, a piece of meat about 10 centimeters high was directly cut 8 times and divided into 9 portions. The group of judges was shocked again. The chef dared to cut it horizontally, which meant that he was confident that this piece of meat was completely tasted. Mrs. Susan and Mr. Watson chose the top and bottom pieces, and the others divided the 7 pieces equally. This time, Picadero was also given a piece, and he put it in his mouth with a trace of disdain. No, 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 this is not beef. What is this? Why did you let me eat such a thing? No, 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 I am a tailor, the most stupid tailor in the world, Picadero shouted. A group of people stared with their eyes wide open. The best and most potential fashion master in the United States had actually said such a thing. However, the reactions of the other judges made people feel that Picardello was the most normal one. First, it was Mrs. Susan. Now, she didn't look like a successful woman at all. She stood up directly from her seat and grabbed Guapai's hand. Her mouth trembled many times, but she couldn't say a word. Watson kept shaking his head. The forks in the hands of 2 other judges had been bent by them, but they didn't know it at all. It seemed that Picadero was the most normal one. Marco, forget what I said just now. Mr. Nangong, how? I don't know if you are interested in coming to my hotel. You are not the chef of the hotel. As a friend, I invite you to my hotel. The old man said softly. The people under the stage widened their eyes. The winner of this cooking competition had been decided. Bang! Gunshot. Someone fired in the Hilton Hotel. Chapter 355. There were a lot of people in the hotel lobby, and they were either rich or noble. Except for the paranormals, all of them were well-known figures in the United States. At this time, when the gunshot was heard, many people first lay on the ground, and then began to think about who the gunshot was aimed at. The bullet was aimed at Guapai, and it almost hit Guapai. Yes, almost. If Guapai hadn't taken out the flying sword in advance, the bullet would have hit his head. At such a close distance, even if Guapai was a master of fasting, he would still die. However, Guapai's flying sword was not slow, and it directly blocked the bullet. Aimed at me? Interesting. I just wanted to protect Ling Mo's safety, but it seems that it won't be so simple this time, Guapai said softly. He had found a safe place to squat down. Strength? Now was not the time to show his strength. The Hilton Hotel should give an explanation for this attack. They came for Brother Bad Guy. You want to run? I'll take you down first. Ling Mo kept looking at Guopai. The shot just now was obviously aimed at Guopai. Ling Mo immediately found the person who fired the shot. Using his mind power, the person holding the gun suddenly couldn't move. Come down! Ling Mo shouted. A man in black fell down from the third floor, with a modified gun still in his hand. At this time, the crowd began to talk. You want to die? Not so easy. Zhou Zhan, who had been standing beside Nangong Lingma, stepped forward and directly dislocated the man in black's jaw. Then, he slapped the man in black's face, and a purple medicine bag and several teeth were spat out of his mouth. Do we still need to continue the cooking battle? Guopai stood up slowly, squinting his eyes and saying, where was the person in charge of the Hilton Hotel? Should he stand up and say something? Everyone, I'm really sorry. I really didn't expect such a thing to happen in the Hilton Hotel. We will find out the truth and tell you. Just when the crowd was talking, a fat middle-aged man came out and said with an apologetic face, ask Tim Hilton to come out. You have no say in this matter. Mrs. Susan stood up and said, this person is not dead yet, Mr. Watson. I think you should have a way to make this person reveal the mastermind behind the scenes. Watson gently nodded and then dialed a number. A group of paranormals looked at the black-clothed man lying on the ground. They all had the same thought in their minds. Since the organizing committee had arranged for paranormals to stay in the Hilton Hotel, could it be that someone in the organizing committee had cheated them? Everyone had different thoughts now. Trash, you're really trash. You didn't kill anyone, but you were captured alive. The old man on the top floor of the Hilton Hotel cursed loudly as the wine glass in his hand was smashed into pieces once again. However, he had to go down now because he was Tim Hilton, the owner of this hotel. Mr. Chi, your men have been captured alive. I have to go out now to appease the people. If it can be solved with money, I think you should pay for it. When Tim Hilton walked out of the room, he dialed the number in Las Vegas again and said with a smile. He was not the only one who wanted to kill Hua Xia's men. Since something had happened, he could not bear the responsibility alone. Damn it, trash. And that old Tim, I will terminate all business with the Hilton Hotel in the future. Trash, really trash. On the other side of the phone, an old Chinese man smashed his wine glass into pieces. Although the chef's challenge no longer accepted any bets, if Chef God Hua Xia won the chef's challenge, he would have to pay at least $100 billion, which was unacceptable to him. Tim Hilton appeared in front of the crowd and said with a smile, everyone, I'm really sorry. So many of you won't be able to solve the problem. Mrs. Susan, I'm very sorry that such a thing happened in my hotel. Mr. Watson, I know this man. You don't have to call the Secret Service team. I will explain the matter to you clearly. Since Tim is here, Mr. Nangong Hao, would you like to continue the last chef's challenge? If you don't, we can announce that you are the winner of this chef's challenge. Whether you made that delicious mousse cake in the first round or not, just the steak in the last round is enough to prove that you have won this time, Mrs. Susan said with a smile. I can continue the chef's challenge, but that man came for me. Since Mr. Hilton is here and knows what happened, I hope you can give me a satisfactory explanation. After saying that, Guopai walked to the man in black and used his mind-reading technique. Speaking of mind-reading technique, Guopai had not used it for a long time. However, since someone had plotted against him, it was not a big deal for him to use it. Then, Guopai stood up and glanced at Tim Hilton. Suddenly, he knew what this old man was thinking. He wanted to solve the problem with money? I don't seem to lack money. Seeing Guopai return to the kitchen, Pao Long finally felt relieved. Firstly, Nangong Hao was fine. Secondly, since he was back, it meant that the chef's challenge could continue. If Mr. Tim can't give you a reasonable explanation, we will resign together. If Mr. Nangong Hao has his own business, we can work in your hotel. Pao Long's words made pals, who had been following them, widen her eyes. If the 5 top chefs left the Hilton Hotel together, it would be the end of the Hilton Hotel. After all, in such a democratic and free country, many people came for the chef. Chef Pao, for our last chef's challenge, I want to add some chips. After saying that, Guopai took out a kitchen knife. This kind of knife was very rare in Western restaurants. If it was in Huaxia, it would be used by almost every restaurant. Little brother Nangong Hao, can you let me take a look at this knife? The moment the knife was taken out, Pao Long was attracted by it. He could even feel that the knife was calling him. The knife in the hands of the young man in front of him was connected to his mind. Even the main knife he had been using for more than 30 years did not make him feel this way. Guopai handed the knife to Pao Long. There was a traditional Chinese character, Pao, on the knife. He asked Pao Long to put the knife on the chopping board with both hands. Then, he knelt on the ground and kowtowed 3 times. The group of chefs widened their eyes. Pals, who was familiar with Huaxia culture, had a myriad of thoughts. Inheritance. This knife should be related to the inheritance of the Jack family. The ancestors of the Pao family hope that this unfilial descendant can take back the treasured knife. Pao Long said softly. Then, he looked at Guopai with a fighting spirit. He had already thought of what to cook. I need this fighting spirit of yours. I hope you won't disappoint me. Guopai said with a smile. We have some old acquaintances. No matter if I win or lose, I will return this knife to your Pao family. Haha, so it's the descendant of an old friend. I really didn't expect that in this foreign country, the final chef's challenge would be between us 2 Huaxia people. Then, let's let this group of ignorant fools have a taste of real delicacies. Pao Long said loudly. He took off his chef's uniform and took out a new set of clothes from a quaint cabinet. There was a big word, Pao, on the back. The chefs were completely stunned. Aura, a terrifying aura. This was not something a chef could do. Everyone knows that the Pao ancestor dissects cows. Many people think that the Pao ancestor is just a butcher. However, they don't know that the Pao ancestor is also the god of cookery. After saying that, Pao Long took out the ingredients he had prepared. He directly picked up the kitchen knife that Guopai had placed on the chopping board and started cutting. This is the real culinary skill of Jack. Chapter 356. The kitchen, which had been banned from live streaming, was now being streamed live on the internet. Huaxia, the United States, Italy, Germany, Japan, Korea, India, Singapore, and other places around the world with internet access began to pay attention to this cooking competition. The internet was even interrupted because of the large number of people. Oh my God, Jack has never shown such amazing knife skills before. It's amazing, Mark said as he covered his mouth. A carrot was shredded by Pao Long in less than 10 seconds. There were also shredding dishes in Western cuisine, but these Western chefs had never seen such amazing shredding skills. Father, I want to go to Huaxia. The cooking skills that I learned from you are much worse than theirs, a teenager in Germany said to his father. A German teenager said to his father. His father gently shook his head. Child, if you want to go to that magical country, go ahead. I believe you will gain a lot. However, it is impossible for you to reach the level of the 2 people in the video. They are not humans. They are divine chefs sent by the heavens to the mortal world. Look, that's Jack Long. It turns out that he has been hiding his strength all these years. Someone in Huaxia shouted. No, his name is Pao Long. He is from Huaxia. That teenager is also from Huaxia. A group of arrogant Europeans. This time, let's show them the strength of Huaxia chef. In less than 10 minutes, everyone was completely immersed in Guo Pao and Pao Long's cooking skills. Piles of ingredients were chopped and shredded. They did not know what the 2 Huaxia people were going to do, but it did not matter what they were going to do now. They were not cooking, they were showing a kind of technique, a kind of art. I got it. Pao Long is going to cook Buddha jumps over the wall. I haven't seen him cook this dish for more than 10 years. I remember the taste of the Buddha jumps over the wall that Pao Long cooked back then. It's really delicious, an old man said softly in a villa in San Francisco. But what is this Hua Xia chef going to cook? How can he use so many ingredients? When Pao Long put all the ingredients into the jar, he couldn't help but look at Guapai. He was stunned by the mountain of ingredient. What kind of dish is he cooking? Uncle Mo, I've tasted a dish in paradise on Earth before. It's called 8 Immortals Crossing the Sea. I think it's quite interesting, but the name of my dish is Jade Pool Meeting. After saying that, a 1-meter-long plate that rarely appeared on the dining table was filled with all sorts of ingredient. Next, Guapai began to cook the main dish. Pao Long also calmed down and focused on cooking his Buddha jumps over the wall soup. Little brother, I'm done here. I'll take advantage of you and let the judges taste it first, Pao Long said with a smile. Then, he got the waiter to serve the Buddha jumps over the wall soup. Oh Jack, how many more dishes are you hiding from us? Hua Xia's dishes are delicious. It's too delicious. I don't dare to taste it. After I try it this time, I won't be able to eat such delicacies again, an old man at the judge's table said softly. The others nodded their heads in agreement. This dish is called Buddha jumps over the wall soup. It's also known as full altar of incense and Fu Shou Quan. It belongs to Hua Xia's Min cuisine. It has a history of several hundred years. The creator of this dish is Jing Chuanfa. After several hundred years, after several generations of famous chefs' improvements, the main ingredients of the Buddha jumps over the wall soup are shark's fin, abalone, spiky ginseng, dried scallops, turtle skirt, fish maw, fish lips, deer tendon, pigeon egg, flower mushroom, pig stomach, duck's delicacies, etc. It includes all kinds of delicacies from the sky, from the water, and from the mountains. It's also complemented with a variety of seasonings, old-age hens, domesticated yellow-billed duck, Jinhua ham, pigeon, pork ribs, scallops, etc. However, my Buddha jumps over the wall soup uses more seafood. The taste should be more to your taste, Pao Long said softly. Everyone, the judges definitely can't finish such a big jar. I've been standing here for 4 hours. I want to try this delicacy, Perez said. The people below the stage laughed. The delicacy coming out of the jar had already made a group of people drool. However, they were not as thick-skinned as Perez. Perez, come on up. Doyle, come on up too, Watson said with a smile. Perez hurriedly ran to the kitchen and took out 2 small bowls. Then, he played the role of a waiter and filled the bowls of the judges. Then, he filled 1 bowl for himself and John Doyle. It's too delicious. There's actually something so delicious in this world. I can't believe it. I really can't believe it. Before the judges could say anything, Perez said excitedly, so seafood can be cooked like this. I want to buy a jar like this too. It's so delicious. Because of Perez's words, the casserole jars in the United States were almost sold out. Many Americans who watched the video bought a jar like this for their home. However, they could not use the jar to cook such delicacies. The other 10 judges looked at each other and began to taste the delicacies in their bowls. Madame Susan did not look like an intellectual woman at all. She was the first to finish the first bowl of Buddha jumps over the wall soup. She did not wait for the others and directly filled another bowl. The others, except for John Doyle, also filled a second bowl. When they were about to fill a third bowl, the door to the kitchen opened. Each of them slowly walked out with a plate in their hands. Guapai did not dare to let the waiter serve the dish this time. It would affect the dish if he was not careful. Humph, this true monarch mind reading is really daring. In the heavenly court, the Queen Mother had nothing to do. She suddenly looked at the affairs of the human world. After thinking for a while, she directly went to the true monarch mind reading. She just happened to see the Yaoqi dish that Guopai served. The carrot on the top of the plate was a beauty. Who else could it be but herself? Haha, interesting, interesting. When the true monarch mind reading returns to the heavenly court, I will ask him to cook the same dish for me. At that time, I will ask the Queen Mother to come with me. Then, I will ask you to eat the carrot. At that time, the Queen Mother's expression will be very rich. Haha. The one from the Moon Palace laughed loudly. Wu Gang, who was looking at the cassia tree from 10,000 meters away, did not even dare to whisper this time. I see that you are almost full. However, I think you will regret it. Guopai smiled and put the plate on the table. Fortunately, the table was made of solid wood. Otherwise, it would not be able to support the weight of the dish. Each of the judges will have a bowl. You can eat whatever you want. I want to share the rest with everyone present. However, you need to show some sincerity. I am short of money. Haha. Chef God Nangong, I will give you 1 million yuan to taste this dish. As Guopai's voice fell, a well-dressed man in the crowd said loudly. Not to mention the taste of this dish, the appearance of this dish alone made him full of appetite. If he could have a bite of this dish, it would definitely become a capital for him to talk and laugh in the future. Since someone had set an example, the rest was easy. 20 people signed up, including not only the local rich people, but also many superpowered people. The last one, Yaoqi, had raised the price to $5 million, which made the people watching the video widen their eyes. Damn it! $5 million for such an expression? I will give you $10 million for the delicious food cooked by Lao Si. No, I have to contact Lao Si tonight. I can't give the delicious food to these foreigners. When he comes back, he will make a good one for me. Jia Yuan looked at the video and said with a smile. He was very happy today. Guopai won the cooking challenge, so he would earn at least $10 billion. Las Vegas would not go back on its word. Thinking about it, Jia Yuan walked leisurely towards Bugyaku. His brother was not here, so he had to go and take care of the situation. You can't eat everything, Watson said as he stood up abruptly after finishing the first bowl of soup given to him by Guopai. The judges nodded their heads. If you want to eat, just take it. There's no need to make up such an excuse. If there's only good food without good wine, you'll be eating in vain, Pao Long said with a laugh. They had lost. Yes, they had lost this time. Mr. Nangong Hao, I, Picadero, apologize for my ignorance and rudeness. I hope to have a chance to taste your delicious dishes when I go to Huaxia, Picadero said with a smile. After saying that, Picadero walked away from the judge's table. I'm just a tailor. The divine chef Huaxia is right. The people who didn't know what had happened laughed again. Ladies and gentlemen, can you tell me the result of this cooking battle? I don't think you need to say anything. Although the Buddha jumps over the wall soup is very delicious, the Yaoqi feast in the end can no longer be described as delicious. It made me think of my first love, my mother, my child, and all the beautiful things in my life, Pales said with a smile. The judges had already regained their composure, and they all nodded their heads. The cooking challenge is over. I'll announce the result now. The first round, Divine Chef Huaxia, Nangong Hao vs. Anthony. Nangong Hao wins. The second round, Nangong Hao vs. Maku. Nangong Hao wins. The third round, Nangong Hao vs. Marco. Nangong Hao wins. The fourth round, Nangong Hao vs. Hagen. Nangong Hao wins. Finally, Nangong Hao vs. Pao Long and Jack Long Drunkard. You bet 30,000 on that divine chef Huaxia. You're rich now. $3 million. You can pay off your debt to Hunter. Drunkard, you have to treat us to a drink today. A group of people surrounded the drunkard who had bet 30,000 on Guopai. The drunkard didn't expect that he would win the bet this time. He had already planned to commit suicide after the cooking challenge, but he didn't expect to win. Brother Duo won. That China Divine chef from Las Vegas won 5-0. My $10,000 became 1 million. Oh my God, Brother Duo, how did you know he would win? In the Wu Castle affiliated high school, a teenager from the first class of the second year surrounded Chien Duo and asked loudly, "If you follow Brother Duo, you don't have to worry about food and drink. The Las Vegas casino deals with business very quickly. I think your money will be in your account soon. When the time comes, just treat me to a good meal." Chien Duo said with a smile. Guopai didn't tell Chien Duo before he went to the United States. However, Chien Duo still found out that Nangong How was Guopai through the video call. When he found out that Guopai wasn't in Bugyaku, he had already guessed that Nangong How was most likely Guopai. Otherwise, how could Nangong Lingma be so close to this Nangong How? I am a genius. Brother Yuan and Daju didn't say anything. Even if they didn't say anything, I knew that person was bad guy. Haha. Chien Duo watched his classmate walk out of the dormitory and couldn't help but say, "The cooking challenge was over, but today's matter was not over. Or rather, today's show had just begun." Mr. Chi of the Las Vegas casino had also arrived at the Hilton Hotel. The people in the lobby didn't leave. They were eating and drinking, waiting for the result. It seemed that nothing was going to happen. However, in a small conference room of the Hilton Hotel, several people were sitting on the sofa. No one spoke. "Tim, this is your place. Tell me first. Why did someone appear with a gun? The target is Mr. Nangong. Do you have any grudges with him?" Mrs. Susan said with a smile. She had spent $10 million today. However, no matter how she thought about it, it was worth it. She could eat such delicious food. Money was nothing to Mrs. Susan. Why would a woman over 50 years old appear in this small conference room? It was because Mrs. Susan's husband was Field, the head of the underground forces in the United States. Although many of Field's businesses had turned from illegal to legal, no one dared to look down on such a family. Another point was that Susan's son, Little Field, was now one of the strong candidates for the governor of California. "Mrs. Susan, it is indeed my fault that the gunman appeared in the Hilton Hotel. I am willing to compensate Mr. Nangong How with $1 billion. However, as for who hired the gunman, I think I have to ask Mr. Chi." Tim Hilton said softly and directly through this troublesome issue to Mr. Chi of the Las Vegas casino. Chapter 358. I will transfer the $20 billion that I lost to Mr. Nangong to your card within 7 days, or I can take the initiative to exchange the $20 billion for 5% of the casino shares, if Mr. Nangong is willing. Mr. Chi was from Huaxia. He directly spoke in Huaxia language and looked at Guopai without blinking. "Mr. Nangong, if I were you, I would choose 5% of the shares. These shares can sell for at least $28 billion in the market," Mr. Watson said with a smile. "I deserve these. I just want to know how you want to solve this shooting incident." Guopai narrowed his eyes and looked at the two masterminds of this incident. "You don't have to talk about money. I don't lack money." With that, a knife suddenly appeared in Guopai's hand and flew into the table. The knife directly sank into the marble table. The bodyguards behind Mr. Chi looked at the flying dagger on the table and broke out in a cold sweat. They would never be able to block such a dagger. "I found the assassin, but Mr. Hilton can't escape responsibility," Mr. Chi said with a smile, not nervous at all. "When the assassin failed, I have been thinking about how to compensate Mr. Nangong. Originally, I wanted to give Mr. Nangong the money I earned from this cooking battle, But the report from the casino just now said that the casino lost hundreds of millions this time. It makes me admire the unity of Huaxia people. Mr. Qi naturally didn't know that most of the people who could bet on Guopai's victory in Huaxia were people who knew Guopai very well. Of course, the casino didn't care about this kind of money. I heard that Mr. Nangong went to the United States to participate in the special ability martial arts competition. Since Mr. Nangong is not short of money, our casino has received a lot of collateral in the past 100 years. I can let Mr. Nangong go to the casino's collection room and choose 10 things as compensation this time. Mr. Qi said lightly. Mrs. Susan and Watson suddenly stood up. 10 things didn't seem to be a lot, but if they could enter the casino's collection room and choose 10 things, it would definitely be a sky-high price. Mr. Nangong, going to the casino's collection room to choose things requires eyesight. If you are confident enough, this compensation is a good opportunity, Mrs. Susan said with a smile. Guopai nodded gently. Mr. Qi took a deep breath. This Nangong was not simple. If he was just a good cook, it wouldn't be a big deal. He was also a Huaxia paranormal. It would be best if the matter could be solved like this. After the matter of the Las Vegas casino was settled, everyone's eyes fell on Tim Hilton again. Everyone, please wait a moment. I need to make a call. Tim Hilton gritted his teeth and said. Before the others could say anything, he had already walked out with the phone. Of course, he also knew the value of the 10 items in the collection room of the big casino. He was afraid that he was really screwed this time. This guy in front of him had a big appetite. He had to report this to his family. Huaxia? I asked someone to send him the things we got 10 years ago. Since we can't find anything, it's better to try it as compensation. Maybe it can satisfy that Huaxia. If it doesn't work, tell Qidong that the Hilton Hotel is willing to pay 30 billion for Huaxia to go to the collection room and take 10 more things. I will talk to Mr. West about this matter. The person on the other end of the phone thought for a while and said softly. Hilton knew that he had really made a mistake this time. He didn't expect that his impulsive action would bring such a big loss to his family. The Hilton family was very efficient. When Mrs. Susan and Mr. Watson were talking about food with Guopai, Hilton came in from the outside, followed by a blonde beauty pushing a cart. The moment the cart was pushed into the conference room, Guopai gently turned his head and looked at the cart. Tim Hilton's heart suddenly tightened. He didn't know whether the Huaxia boy in front of him would be satisfied with these things. Of course, Tim Hilton couldn't see what Guopai was thinking. At this time, Guopai's attention was all on the several things on the cart. Laojuan's gourd. How many Laojuan's gourds did he leave in the human world? Guopai couldn't help thinking. And Buddha's Vajra pestle. How could it be abroad? Flying sword. Damn, it's of high quality. I'm rich. I'm rich this time. Of course, Tim Hilton naturally didn't know what Guopai was thinking. Even the people in the small conference room didn't find anything strange about Guopai. Even Mr. Qi looked at the things on the cart with a trace of disdain. Could these things be enough to drive away this Huaxia boy? Mr. Nangong, how, these things were obtained by my ancestors when they were exploring the sea. According to many verifications, they should be Huaxia's things. As compensation for this incident, I wonder if Mr. Nangong is satisfied with them. Tim Hilton said softly. Tim, you've been busy for so long. Is it just to prepare these things? Haha, Hilton family, I just received a message from the big casino that the Hilton family has stopped all business with the big casino. It seems that I have to agree. You're bullying us Huaxia people by taking these things. Don't you understand? Before Guopai spoke, Mr. Qi stood up and said with a smile. Qidong, what do you mean? How do you know the value of these things? Tim Hilton said softly with a red face. As for the value of these things, he didn't know. I don't know. Do you know? Many people took these small gourds to the casino as collateral a few years ago. They cost $100 each. Later, we stopped taking them. Also, you can buy a small sword model in China City for more than $12. My dear Mr. Tim, you're really talented, Chi Dong said loudly. Chi Dong, these things are just for Mr. Nangong to see. What's more, they're not the same as the things you said. These things are old things. Old things, do you understand? Tim responded loudly. In addition to these things, the Hilton family is willing to compensate Mr. Nangong $20 billion for today's incident. This time, it was Guo Pai's turn to be secretly happy. He originally wanted to take advantage of these things and take them as his own. He didn't expect that the quarrel between the two of them would bring him an additional $20 billion. How could he not be happy? In fact, I've never been a person who holds grudges. It's been a long time, and I'm not as angry as I was just now. Since Mr. Tim and Mr. Chi are so sincere, today's incident is over. We're here to participate in the martial arts competition. We don't want to make trouble, but not everyone can bully us. Guo Pai took the flying sword from the car in his hand and picked his fingernails. Chi Dong smiled slightly, and Tim Hilton finally breathed a sigh of relief. I'll take the things on the car. Although, as Mr. Chi Dong said, they may not be very valuable, this small gourd, in the words of our Huaxia people, has some sayings. Fu Lu, I forgive you. If Mr. Chi has such a thing, I'll go to your collection room and take it out. Guo Pai said with a smile, everyone is hungry. Since the conflict has been resolved, we're friends. I'll make some food for everyone in a while. Consider it as making friends. This time, it was Hilton and Chi Dong's turn to be happy. They had been watching the live broadcast on the internet. The food cooked by the master chef Huaxia could be recognized by the most picky people in the United States, so it must be delicious. They could solve the conflict at the lowest cost and get a delicious meal. Why not? Then we're in luck. But there are still some things outside that we need Mr. Nangong's help. As long as you say that the incident just now was a misunderstanding, I think the people outside will not trouble our hotel anymore, Hilton said in a low voice with a hint of pleading. Guo Pai agreed with a smile. $20 billion, when did his words become so valuable? Chapter 359. Sure enough, when Guo Pai followed Hilton out of the small conference room, a group of people stared at Hilton. The gunshot was aimed at Guo Pai. This Huaxia was lucky not to die, but such a thing happened in the Hilton Hotel, so they really needed to give everyone an explanation. I'm really sorry today. I didn't expect that there would be a shooting in our hotel, but this matter has been solved, and similar things will not happen in the future. In order to express our apology, everyone present today will get a gold card of our Hilton Hotel. The drinks will be free for the next 3 days. Everyone can drink to their heart's content, Hilton said with a smile. Of course, I have to explain that this shooting incident is a misunderstanding. Let our client, Mr. Nangong, explain it to everyone. Of course, Tim Hilton's words couldn't satisfy the people in the lobby of the Hilton Hotel. Gold card? What do we need this thing for? A 10% discount for a gold card? Am I short of money? Free drinks? Am I short of wine? Of course, if this Huaxia boy didn't have any opinion, they naturally couldn't say anything. Everyone, what happened just now shocked you. The matter has been clarified. The gunman was a former rival of mine. This time, he came for me. I didn't expect to bring so much trouble to Mr. Hilton. I'm really sorry. I think the gunman has been punished. I don't want to say more about today's matter. Guo Pai said with a smile, looking indifferent. The faces of the people in the audience began to change. He must have reached an agreement with the Hilton Hotel just now. Otherwise, he wouldn't say so. The people in the audience were not fools, but since the client said so, they couldn't say anything. Thank you, Mr. Nangong, for clarifying the truth for our Hilton Hotel. As a reward, Mr. Nangong will be a special friend of our Hilton Hotel and enjoy the right to live and eat for free for a lifetime. Tim Hilton once again did Guopai a favor. He had already spent 20 billion yuan, so it didn't matter to give him some more benefits. After Hilton's voice fell, the others didn't say anything. After a busy night, some people were hungry and began to look for food. There was food in the Hilton Hotel's lobby 24 hours a day. The service was pretty good. However, there were a few times when little Ling Mo wanted to say something, but he was stopped by Guopai. They were busy until 1 o'clock in the morning. Guopai made 2 more delicious dishes for Hilton and Qidong. Only then did the 2 old men leave leisurely. Qidong had also made an appointment with Guopai to go to the collection room of the Las Vegas Grand Casino to choose something in the next 2 days. Bad guy bro, did you sign some kind of unfair contract with those 2 old men? Why are you speaking for them today? Little Ling Mo had followed Yuer for a period of time and had already learned a set of laws of absorption. He basically didn't sleep at night. When he saw Guopai enter, little Ling Mo asked softly, "I'll take you to a good place tomorrow. When has brother bad guy bro ever been taken advantage of?" Guopai said with a smile. He was playing with the gourd he got from Tim Hilton with a proud expression. Although he hadn't studied this gourd properly, Guopai could feel that this gourd was definitely not ordinary. "Bad guy bro, where did you get this small gourd? Give it to me. I remember that sister Yer also has a small gourd like this. It's quite exquisite," little Ling Mo said. As she spoke, she snatched it over. "There are about 10 days until the martial arts tournament. Where are you taking me to tomorrow?" "Little girl, I can't give you this small gourd, but I can let you play with this thing." As he spoke, Guopai waved his hand and the gourd returned to Guopai's hand. Then, Guopai handed little Ling Mo a small flying sword. Before coming to the U.S., Guopai checked Nangong Lingma's body. She could barely control the flying sword with her mind. "Hee hee, bad guy bro, this is a flying sword, right? Thank you, brother bad guy." Nangong Lingma said with a smile. "Sister Yer said that this flying sword needs to be nurtured with one's body. She told me to ask you about the specifics. Take this first and keep it with you. If you have nothing to do in the future, you can play with it more. Before the martial arts tournament, I'll find a way to make this flying sword recognize you as its master," Guopai said with a smile. "Tomorrow, let's go to the Las Vegas casino to play. Bad guy bro, are you going to gamble? Then I'll go with you tomorrow. You still have 10 billion USD with you. You can't go back on your word," Nangong Lingma said with a pout. "Little girl, follow me in the future. What do you need so much money for? Money is like dirt. Leave this money with me first," Guopai said with a smile. In the end, the 2 of them haggled. Guopai transferred 500,000 USD to little Ling Mo's card. Little Ling Mo pulled Guopai onto the bed without any hesitation and became a servant accompanying him. Dong dong dong. At 8 o'clock in the morning, Qidong personally knocked on Guopai's door. He had already discussed with the big boss about Guopai's matter. The earlier he finished, the earlier he could get it done. However, when he saw Guopai open the door with disheveled clothes and glanced at little Ling Mo lying on the bed, Qidong, this old man, couldn't help but shout in his heart, "Beast!" Of course, Guopai naturally didn't know what this old man was thinking. "Old man, it's not right to disturb people's dreams. You go to the hall first, I'll come out in a while," Guopai said with a smile and then woke little Ling Mo up. Guopai was naturally not a beast. Little Ling Mo didn't sleep well at night. On the other hand, Guopai didn't sleep well the entire night. About half an hour later, Guopai brought little Ling Mo to the hall of the Hilton Hotel. A group of people greeted Guopai one after another. Such an amazing chef, whether he was a Huaxia esper or not, was still very popular with everyone. However, if they wanted to drink Guopai's wine, they weren't that familiar with Guopai yet. Yesterday, Tim Hilton and Chi Dong each drank half a caddy of Guopai's wine. Then, the two of them praised Guopai's wine to the heavens. A few chefs who had tasted Guopai's wine naturally fanned the flames. A group of arrogant people was looking forward to tasting it. Some people even found out through Huaxia that Huaxia had indeed auctioned off a sky-high price of wine at an auction recently. This made them look forward to it very much. Little you, just now, Tim and I were wondering if you could share some of your wine with us. $100 million per caddy. Chi Dong said with a smile. The group of people around him nodded one after another. That's all. If you want to drink, you can share it among yourselves. Uncle Chi, the girl and I will eat something. Let's go see the Las Vegas casino in a while. Guopai smiled and directly threw a bottle of wine that he had prepared in advance to Chi Dong. Chi Dong hurriedly reached out to catch it. The group of people around him looked at the wine bottle with sparkling eyes. Mr. Chi, don't tell me you want to drink all of this wine. That's not Mr. Chi's style. An old man beside Chi Dong said with a smile. He had already brought the wine glass over. Chi Dong took out the wine bottle with a trace of reluctance. Then, he called a waiter and asked him to bring over 12 glasses. He carefully filled the glasses with wine and said to Guopai, "I'll wait for you in the car." Then, he ran away as if he was escaping. The 12 people around Chi Dong looked at Chi Dong's back with disdain. However, they didn't believe that any wine could surprise them. Richardson, you're still young. If you want to drink in the future, you can go to Huaxia. Your business is also in Huaxia. You can drink this kind of wine at Huaxia in the future. Give this glass to me. After an old man finished speaking, his hand had already reached out to the wine glass in front of a young man who was less than 40 years old. Uncle Washington, I remember that Little Walker is now in Huaxia. If you want to drink, you can ask Little Walker to mail it to you. There's no need to snatch this from a junior. After saying that, Richardson quickly picked up the wine glass and drank it in one gulp. Then, his eyes widened. Fortunately, he had snatched it. Otherwise, he would regret it for the rest of his life. Where's Chi Dong? Go find Chi Dong. He still has more. There's at least one caddy in that bottle. He wants to take it all for himself. The 12 people drank the wine and someone shouted loudly. Mr. Washington, Mr. Chi drove away. He asked us to send Mr. Nangong to the casino. Chapter 360. The waiter's words made everyone's eyes focus on Guopai again. Guopai, who was eating a bowl of caviar, raised his head. What are you looking at? Isn't it just eating caviar with a bowl? The group of people was a little helpless. What's so good about caviar? You're a chef who eats delicious food every day. Can this caviar meet your requirements? They weren't familiar with Guopai, so it was impossible for them to ask Guopai for wine directly. However, the temptation of this wine was too great. Ahem, Mr. Nangong, I know it's very presumptuous of me to come here like this, but I really can't help it. An old man saw that Guopai and Nangong Lingma were about to leave, so he walked straight to Guopai's side and said softly, I don't know why you're looking for me. If there's nothing important, I'm going to the Las Vegas casino, Guopai said with a smile. Wine, the wine you gave Chi Dong just now. I don't know if there's any left. I want to buy some of that wine, the old man said with a slightly red face. It wasn't clear if it was because of the wine just now or because he was a little embarrassed. There's really no more wine. I didn't bring much with me when I came to the United States this time. However, you'll have a chance to drink this wine again in a few days. I think you've also checked that this wine was provided by Huaxia Bugyaku. Bugyaku has the idea of opening a medical center in the United States. When the time comes, some good wine will be auctioned in the United States. After Guo Pai finished speaking, he pulled Nangong Lingma out of the Hilton Hotel, leaving a group of people staring at him. They secretly decided that if there really was such a good wine, no matter how much effort it would take, they had to get it. On the top floor of the Las Vegas casino, Chi Dong and an old foreign man sat on both sides of a sandalwood table. Chi Dong carefully filled the wine glass. Although there were only 4 dishes in the middle, the two of them were eating happily. Ah Dong, you did a good job this time. Although there were some losses, they were all within the scope of control. We'll continue to open bets for this mutant martial arts tournament and earn back all the money we lost this time. This old man was the real boss of the Las Vegas Grand Casino, Mr. Jim West. Boss, he'll be coming to the casino in a while. I'll take him directly to the collection room. Don't feel bad when he leaves, haha, Chi Dong said with a smile. All these years, I don't know what's in the collection room, but I used to go there often. If you want to get something good from there, it's useless if you don't have a good eye, West said with a smile. Chi Dong nodded, and then a waiter walked in. Guo Pai was already in the hall. Bad guy bro, how do we play these? Why don't we exchange some chips? Little Ling Mo looked at the pile of novel things. He had only seen these things in movies before. He didn't expect to see them in real life this time. It was inevitable that he would find them novel. Give this lady 1 million chip. If it's used up, just continue to give her chips. Before Guo Pai could speak, Chi Dong had already walked over from not far away. He smiled and said to a waiter beside him, Brother, I had something urgent just now, so I came back first. Let's let Miss Ling Mo play here for a while. Why don't you come with me to the collection room to have a look? Guo Pai smiled and nodded. The waiter had already handed a pile of chips to Nangong Lingma. The little girl had already started playing. A Hua Xia next to her smiled and introduced the rules to the little girl. Guo Pai followed behind Chi Dong, and the two walked into a lounge. Then, Chi Dong opened a secret door in the lounge and took the elevator directly to the underground. Brother Chi, this is really a big deal. We are now at least 100 meters underground. To be able to build a collection room in such a deep place, the Las Vegas Grand Casino really lives up to its reputation, Guo Pai said with a smile as the two walked out of the elevator. When the casino was opened in Las Vegas, it was very messy here. The earliest boss built a secret room to avoid his enemies. Later, the business grew bigger and bigger. He would collect some things and put them all here, Chi Dong said with a smile. He said he would give you 10 things, but when we go in later, just take whatever you like. If there are any more, it's on me, haha. Guo Pai thanked Chi Dong and the door slowly opened. A palace, an underground palace. Such a large scale surprised Guo Pai. When he went into seclusion, he also found a place like this. Even the 3 heavenly thunder wrath couldn't do anything to him. Go in and take a look. I'll wait for you at the door, Chi Dong said with a smile. Guo Pai nodded and went in. Damn it, there are so many Hua Xia things. It seems that I have to take some time to come here again. It's better to take back the things here, Guo Pai said to himself as he looked at the dazzling array of things. The horse head, it's actually here, Guo Pai couldn't help but say when he saw the horse head placed in a corner. But it's useless for me to take it away. Let's leave it here first. It's safer here. Guo Pai walked forward, looking forward to finding the Lao Jun gourd that Chi Dong mentioned the other day. However, he was disappointed. He saw a few gourds, but they were all handicrafts without any spiritual energy. After walking for about 10 minutes, a mirror attracted Guo Pai's attention. Hee, I didn't come in vain with this thing. Little guy, you must be lonely after all these years. Come out with me. Guo Pai mumbled to himself as he walked to the side of the mirror. He cut his finger and dripped a drop of blood onto the surface of the mirror. A moment later, the originally dim mirror slowly floated up into the air and emitted a strange light. Be honest and don't move around here. You'd better change back to your original appearance first, Guopai said, and the mirror changed back to its original appearance. Guopai continued to walk forward. A calligraphy painting came into view. Guopai couldn't help but laugh. According to the time in the human world, it had been thousands of years. Guopai laughed until tears flowed out of his eyes. Autumn water family, haha, I drew this autumn water family when I was drunk. I didn't expect it to still be here. Haha, I was really trash back then. I really didn't expect this painting to win against a group of old guys back then, haha. Guopai couldn't help but laugh. The autumn water family was already in his hands. Guopai continued to walk inside, and kept the autumn water family. Guopai was in a good mood. An ancient brick-like thing came into his eyes. Guopai didn't think and directly took it. 10 things. Since there was an agreement this time, Guopai wouldn't take more than one. If Guopai wanted to take more, the Laojun gourd would fill up the entire place, and no one would know. 10 minutes later, an ancient sword was in Guopai's hands, followed by an ancient wood bead. 5 things in an hour. To Guopai, these things were not worth $20 billion. Even $1 trillion wouldn't be able to buy them. In the next hour, Guopai took 4 more things that he liked. His heart was blooming with joy. No, 9 it is. The number 9 is also the way of the heavens, Guopai said and walked back a few steps. Suddenly, he stopped in a corner. Jade Emperor, I saw this thing. It's mine. The mystic light yin-yang mirror from the War of Witches and Devils, his autumn water Renjia painting, the wood Immortal Ancestors' spiritual wood bead, the sword Immortal Ancestors' broken sword, the great sorcerer's black bamboo sculpture, the 7 stars armor, the sealed giant rock egg, the 10,000-year-old stone ginseng, the high-quality imitation Qiankuan pouch that the Earth Immortal Ancestor lost that year, and of course, the Jade Emperor's 2 elders' inheritance jade tablet. Thinking about it, Guopai became happy. However, as soon as the 2 of them came out of the room, Guopai's face turned gloomy. Waiter, give me 1 million chips. Hurry up. Little Ling Mo's hair was soaked in sweat as she shouted at the waiter beside her. The waiter was about to say something when he saw Qi Dong and Guopai not far away. He hurried over. Guopai nodded at the waiter. The waiter quickly ran to the chip counter and gave 1 million chips to Little Ling Mo. Guopai handed the chips to Little Ling Mo. At this moment, the little girl looked at Guopai with an aggrieved expression and burst into tears. Miss, if you can't afford to gamble, then go home. If you want to gamble with me, I will accompany you at any time, said a golden-haired young man with a smile. A golden-haired youth said with a smile on his face. A chip was bouncing back and forth on his finger. It was obvious that he was a gambling expert. It was unknown how he had gotten into a conflict with Little Ling Mo. Of course we're gambling. Little girl, don't cry. Go back to your room and rest for a while, Guopai said with a smile. Little Ling Mo shook her head. Her tears had already dried. Daniel, you've gone too far. Although this gambling table belongs to your Daniel family, don't forget that this is the Las Vegas Grand Casino. Everything here belongs to Mr. West, Qi Dong said with a gloomy expression. Uncle Qi, you said it yourself. This gambling table belongs to the Daniel family. In that case, it's none of Mr. West's business that I'm gambling at my own table, Daniel said with narrowed eyes. Daniel squinted and said, This Huaxia girl has won more than 3 million at my table. Naturally, I have to win it back. Big brother bad guy, he must have cheated. In the past hour, he didn't let me win a single round. He has won a lot of money from me, Nangong Lingma said with a hint of grievance. Master Qi, Daniel has won a total of 47 million from here. You know his methods. I can't tell. Miss Nangong has fallen into a gambling trap, the waiter who had been accompanying Nangong Lingma said softly. Dong nodded lightly and pulled Guopai to the side. Brother, this Daniel is the disciple of Dennis, the champion of the last Gambling God tournament. His gambling skills are extremely good. A few of our Poison Kings have gone on vacation. Right now we can't find a master who is better than him in the casino. I can't help you, Dong said apologetically. As for the money that Nangong Lingma lost, let's count it as our casino's. As we said before, let's let Nangong Lingma play. Brother Qi, I know what happened at the gambling table. Since Nangong Lingma lost at the gambling table, I'll help her get it back from there, Guopai said with a smile. I'll gamble with him. I really want to see the gambling skills of the little Gambling King's disciple. Brother, how about this? I'll call someone who is good at gambling to gamble with Daniel. If he loses, then there's nothing we can do. If he wins, then we'll take it that we've won back our reputation. How about that? Dong couldn't help but suggest. Right now, the casino really didn't have a good candidate to deal with Daniel. However, if the person he was talking about really gambled with Daniel, the odds of winning were about 3 to 7. Guopai smiled and shook his head. He walked straight to the gambling table and squinted his eyes at Daniel, who had a look of disdain on his face. I'll gamble with you. Do you accept? If it's the same as before, playing with 1 million, I think you'd better find someone else. I'm not interested in playing with Xia people like you. Even if I win, you still cry, Daniel said with a smile. Nangong Lingma wanted to say something, but she was stopped by Guopai. $100 million per round. 3 out of 5 rounds. If you dare to gamble, you have the final say on what you want to bet. Guopai smiled and said, If you're afraid, you can call your master Dennis over. If you think that this gamble is too small, you can add more money. Daniel stood up immediately. If it only involved him, it would have been fine. However, Nangong Lingma had actually mentioned his master's name. This made Daniel furious. Xia boy, I know you. You're a chef. Since you want to give me money, then let's gamble. Your bet is too small. I want to play something bigger with you. Do you dare? Daniel said with squinted eyes. How big do you want to bet? I'll accompany you to the end, Guopai said with incomparable contempt. 3 out of 5 rounds. Let's bet $1 billion plus a right hand. Do you dare? Daniel said viciously. This time, not only did he want to win, but he also wanted to win one of his hands so that he couldn't even be a chef. 1 billion is too small. Let's make it simple. $10 billion plus a hand and a leg. Of course, if you want to keep your 2 good legs, I don't mind using the leg in the middle as the wager, Guopai said with squinted eyes. Xia boy, I agree to your request. You'll regret it. Daniel shouted loudly. He was very confident in his gambling skills. Even if he met his master, if they really gambled, the odds would be about 4 to 6. He was confident that his gambling skills could at least be ranked in the top 3 in the world. Please, let me regret this once. Chapter 362. Yesterday, the Americans did not gain any advantage in the cooking challenge. It was said that many Xia people earned a pot full of platinum. Who would have thought that after only 1 day, the arrogant Xia would actually challenge the disciple of the Gambling King? How audacious! Mr. West, are you going to open a bet this time? If not, I'm going to open one. Las Vegas had more than one casino. The person who called West was the owner of the second-largest casino in Las Vegas. He also had a special identity, Daniel's uncle Gypsy. If Mr. Gypsy wants to open a bet, then let's do it. Mr. Nangong, how is my friend? Our casino will not open a bet on our friends, West said into the phone. Gypsy sneered on the other end of the phone. Not open a bet on your friends? If it wasn't for the great Mr. West, I wouldn't have left the casino to start my own business. However, since your casino won't open a bet this time, our Shijing casino will make a big bet. Since Mr. West has said so, then our Shijing casino is ready to open the bet. If Mr. West is interested, you can cheer for your friend and place a bet. It's not a big bet, but the odds are 1 to 3. I hope this Chinese man can surprise us again. Gypsy hung up the phone after she finished speaking. West started laughing in his room. Qi Dong, get someone to place a bet at the Shijing casino. $10 billion on Nangong Hao's victory. West's phone call stunned Qi Dong completely. His boss actually bet on Nangong Hao's victory. This was not normal. His boss knew Daniel's ability. However, Qi Dong suddenly understood that this Huaxia person might really be capable if he dared to challenge Daniel. More importantly, ever since he had known Mr. West, he had never lost a bet. After the Shijing casino opened a bet, gamblers all over the world were excited again. Everyone who gambled knew how capable Daniel was. The gambling king, Dennis, had accepted a disciple. Although he had never participated in the Gambling King competition, he had won against the top 10 gambling kings in the 2 major casinos in Russia and Macau. This made Daniel famous. As for the other side of the market, it was also very famous. However, it was not in gambling but in cooking. Naturally, all the people who bet this time bet on Dennis to win. Of course, there was one exception, and that was Huaxia. This was also the place where Gypsy wanted to bet. He had seen how crazy Huaxia people were when it came to gambling. Oh my God, look! The bet on Huaxia winning is over $100 billion. These people are crazy. They are crazy about money. West made a bold move. He directly took over the Shijing Casino in Las Vegas and took 1/1000th of the profit. Gypsy naturally agreed. However, such a high bet shocked him. Xiao Pei, hold a board meeting immediately. I want cash. Sell all the shares you have and place a bet on the website. Bet on the bet that can triple my assets. I want Yuan International to not only be a first-class company in Huaxia, but also an international brand. Jia Yuan said this over the phone. His secretary, Xiao Pei, confirmed it several times. Finally, when he walked out of the CEO's office, he said softly that the boss had gone crazy. It was not only Xiao Pei. Although Jia Yuan held 63% of Yuan International's shares, the board of directors this time gave in. The other board members were anxious and used all of Yuan International's assets to bet. The original 4 pests of Wu Castle had not changed at all. Since everyone disagrees, then I'm sorry. I'll give you all your shares in cash, and then sell the entire Yuan International. I think many people will be willing to take over. Jia Yuan left these words as he walked out of the meeting room. Everyone was shocked. Kid, are you crazy? You have invested such a large amount of money into the United States. It has already attracted the attention of the National Security Bureau and the Economic Bureau. You better behave yourself and don't do anything rash. If you do anything to launder money, I will be the first to punish you. Jia Yuan walked out of the meeting room and received a call from his grandfather. Old man, in one day, you will understand what a great thing your grandson has done. Money laundering, this old man knows a lot. However, you have underestimated your grandson. I am preparing to earn some extra money for the country, Jia Yuan said loudly. Brat, you're really getting bolder and bolder. Young master, all right, if you're half as good as Guo Xianwen's grandson, I'll call you young master in the future. The old man's words were even more irrelevant. The two of them laughed at the phone. Grandpa, I need $1 billion. I want to make a bet at the Shijing Casino. Xianyuan Tingfei had been tormented by his wife. It was already the due date, but there was no news. Xianyuan Xiongfeng hadn't seen his grandson recently. Who would have thought that the first time he saw him, he would ask for $1 billion in US dollars? Tengfei, what is the first rule of the Xianyuan family? Have you forgotten? 10 years later, you will be the head of the Xianyuan family. How dare you ask me to bet 1 billion US dollars? You have disappointed me, Xian Yuan Xiongfeng said loudly. Jia Yuan just called me and asked for a loan of 3 billion USD. I pestered him for 2 billion USD and got him a piece of news. He sold Yuan International and placed a bet in Shijing Casino. The bet is about the Chinese divine chef, who was the talk of the town yesterday. Today, he is going to bet on the Chinese divine chef, Dennis's disciple. He is betting on the Chinese divine chef. I think it's necessary for our Xianyuan family to join in the bet. The odds are 1 to 3, so 1 billion becomes 3 billion. Just thinking about it makes me happy, Xianyuan Tingfei said with a smile. Bastard, why do you believe that kid from the Jia family? What if you lose the bet? 1 billion US dollars. No, you have already lent Jia Yuan 2 billion US dollars. This is all the assets that our Xianyuan family can use now, Xianyuan Xiongfeng couldn't help but say loudly. Old man, you are really old. My father doesn't understand. Don't tell me you don't understand either. Why should I trust Jia Yuan? Because Jia Yuan is Guopai's sworn brother. Because Jia Yuan said that Guopai hasn't been in Huaxia recently, I have already guessed who that Huaxia's god chef is. When our duo gives birth to a child, I will be the head of the family. Xianyuan Tingfei's words seemed to be disgraceful, but Xianyuan Xiongfeng burst into laughter. 8 billion US dollars. Xianyuan Xiongfeng was really powerful. In 10 minutes, he got 8 billion US dollars from other families in the capital. Apart from the 2 billion US dollars lent to Jia Yuan, the other 6 billion US dollars were directly transferred to the Shijing Casino's account. It was the bet that made the Americans think was a fantasy. Drunkard, where is the money? You should still have money after you pay off the debt, right? That's right. This drunkard was the guy who bet 30,000 US dollars yesterday and won 3 million US dollars. I have 700,000 US dollars left. I bet all of it on the bet that can make me a millionaire again. With that, the drunkard took a sip of wine and looked at Guopai, who was sitting on the stool with his eyes closed. There were only 10 minutes left before the bet started. He really wanted to shout, God Chef Huaxia will win. Chapter 363. From the moment the two of them agreed to the duel until now, the battle was about to break out. Within 2 hours, those who bet on Daniel won 73.8 billion, while those who bet on Guoshuai won 173.3 billion. These were all rounded figures. The Shijing Casino also released a statistics report. Of the 173.3 billion that bet on the Huaxia people, 150 billion came from the vast and resourceful Huaxia country. Of course, West also bet 10 billion US dollars. If Daniel won this time, the title of the number 1 casino in Las Vegas would change. Gypsy squinted his eyes as he looked at the data. Win, he would definitely win. He was already prepared for the Shijing Casino to replace the Las Vegas Casino as the number 1 casino. However, there was one thing that he did not consider. If Huaxia won, he would have to sell the entire Shijing Casino if he wanted to fulfill his bet. Chef from Huaxia, how do you want to bet? Tell me, lest you say that I bullied you when you lose, Daniel said disdainfully. Daniel said disdainfully. He was a chef. If he couldn't even win against a chef, he might as well die. He had to win the bet of 10 billion, an arm and a leg. He had to win. Just tell me how you want to bet. I don't know anyway. Just tell me how to play before you bet. I'm a fast learner, Guopai said with a smile. However, I have to remind you that my luck has always been very good. Don't bet on luck with me. Then I want to see how good your luck is today. For the first round, let's bet on dice. I think Huaxia people should know about this. Let's see if your luck can beat mine, Daniel said disdainfully. Of course Huaxia has this thing. Back in the day, I was known as the king of dice in the nightclubs of the capital. If you want to bet on dice with me, I'll be taking advantage of you, Guopai said with a serious face. Laughter came from the crowd. Look at him. He's really asking for a beating. Thousands of miles away, Yuer Lin Shuang and a group of friends from Wu Castle who were on summer vacation were watching the live broadcast on the internet. Yuer said disdainfully. Lin Shuang and Sun Ling Ling laughed out loud. They already knew that Nangong Hao was Guopai. It would have been better if Yuer hadn't said anything. After she said it, everyone took a closer look and realized that this big bad guy was really showing off. Teacher Lin, Sister Yuer, this time, Brother Bad Guy made such a huge bet. He won't lose, right? If he loses, they'll definitely cut off Brother Bad Guy's hands and feet. Little Tang she couldn't help but say. It's even better if he loses his third leg. Let's see how he can bully little girls in the future, Yuer said with a smile. Lin Shuang and Sun Ling Ling's faces turned red. That won't do. You're all sleeping with the big bad guy. I haven't slept yet. No matter what, I have to wait until I'm done sleeping with him before I lose that bad thing. Otherwise, little Shi Yu and I will lose too much, Su Yi said seriously. Su Yi said with a serious face. Lin Shuang's face was filled with black lines. Why was her student so mature? Yuer laughed out loud, while Sun Ling Ling's face turned even redder. When Daniel heard Guopai's words, he couldn't help but laugh. Hua Xia kid, I'll let you take advantage of me. Let's play dice first. As soon as he finished speaking, Qi Dong brought over a metal box. After opening it, 108 identical dice were neatly arranged inside. There were also 2 dice cups made of an unknown material. Hua Xia, whether you want to play 3, 6, or 9 dice, I'll play with you to the end today. If it's a draw you win, Daniel said with a smile. I suddenly remembered that you're the Gambling King's apprentice. It seems that all of you who practice gambling have the ability to roll 6 or more dice to the same number. This time, let's play 24 dice at a time. That way I can beat you with luck. Guopai said with a smile. Daniel laughed as well. 24 dice it was. Although he could at most control 13 dice at the same time, or roll 13 sixes, it was enough to deal with a layman. Naturally, there was no problem with the dice in the Las Vegas casino. The first game between the two of them was a best of 3. Daniel glanced at Guopai. The dice were already in the cup, and he quickly shook the cup with one hand. Guopao, on the other hand, carefully placed the dice into the shaking cup. During the process, some of the dice almost fell out. All the people watching the video burst into laughter again. Teacher Lin Shuang, look at your husband. He's so pretentious. I'm afraid that he'll devour that handsome foreign guy until not even his bones are left, Yuer said with a smile. Little Yuer, what husband? I heard that bad boy keep calling you big wife, Lin Shuang said with a smile. The group of girls laughed again, and even began to line up. Of course, Guopai's superb acting shocked the group of people on Hua Xia's side. Xianyuan Xiongfeng could not help but call Jia Yuan's grandfather. Unexpectedly, the old man was playing chess. Only then did he feel less worried. Although Guopai's method of shaking the cup was clumsy, at least the dice did not fall out. Daniel looked at Guopai with a happy face. He knew that he had rolled at least 12 sixes. The smallest of the other 12 dice was a 4. It was more than enough to beat the chef on Hua Xia's opposite side. Gentlemen, let's open the dice cups together. Let's see who wins the first game. West was somewhat worried that the best dealer in Las Vegas was arranged to be at this gambling table. After all, Daniel was the apprentice of the Gambling King. Daniel made a gesture of invitation to the old dealer. The old dealer opened Daniel's dice cup first. There were 14 sixes, 2 more than what Daniel had calculated himself. 6 fives, 4 fours, a total of 130 points. Thunderous applause rang out from the audience. After all, the number of people who bet on Daniel in the casino far exceeded that of Guopao. Amazing! As expected of Dennis's apprentice. Even if I were to compete with him in dice, I'm afraid it would be difficult for me to beat him. I'm afraid that he will win a Gambling King title in this year's Gambling King competition. On a luxurious gambling boat far away in Italy, a handsome middle-aged man smiled and said, "It was Lust, who ranked 5th in the last Gambling King competition. Damn, that's amazing. It's over. I don't know if my luck can beat yours." Guopai couldn't help but say, "If I had known, I would have played something else. Dealer, open mine. Let's see if Taishang Laojun can let me win." Guopai couldn't help but shout Taishang Laojun. Naturally, it was broadcast to all parts of the world through the live broadcast. What did he say? Who is Taishang Laojun? A group of foreigners couldn't help but ask. The old dealer opened the dice cup. The dice were neatly arranged in a stack of 8. Then, the old dealer lined them up one by one. Everyone's eyes widened. 14 sixes, 7 fives, 3 fours, a total of 131 points. "Mr. Nangong has won this game," the old dealer said with a hint of excitement. "Haha, my luck is so good. It seems that Taishang Laojun is better than your god," Guopai said with a face that deserved a beating. "Go, buy me a statue of Taishang Laojun." "Damn, his luck is too good," a foreigner said while shaking his head. In the end, the statue of Taishang Laojun was sold in the United States. Chapter 364. Old Lord, we've noticed that your power of faith has increased by several folds recently. If this continues, breaking through to the 7th heaven is just around the corner. Do you have any good ideas? Tell us about it. In the heaven court, a few old men were playing chess. Waves of power of faith had reached the heaven court from the mortal realm, causing Taishang Laojun's dojo to emit waves of golden light. To be honest, I'm not too sure about this either. The power of faith has increased recently, but it's not very pure. Taishang Laojun stroked his beard and said, "Before I came to play chess, I met the ancestor of the Earth Immortals, Brother Jin Yuan. I had to trouble him to do a divination. It seems like the power of faith has a lot to do with the mind-reading sage. Seems like the mind-reading sage is living quite well in the mortal realm. I'm starting to miss his wine. Let's not get involved in the mortal realm's affairs. The Jade Emperor has been in a bad mood recently. It seems like the Queen Mother." Before the barefoot Immortal could finish his sentence, he saw the Jade Emperor flying towards them from afar. He quickly shut his mouth. "Immortals, if you have nothing to do, you can come to my place for a visit. I've been busy with the Heaven Court recently, so I haven't talked to you much," the Jade Emperor said with a smile. The few of them looked at each other. "Go to your place for a visit? We don't have the strength and background of Wu Gang and Yang Jian. It's better not to go. Jade Emperor, I still have some matters to attend to at my dojo. I'm afraid I can't continue the game today. I'll take my leave first," the barefoot Immortal said and soared into the clouds, disappearing from the heaven court. "If you didn't mention it, I would have forgotten about it. That mount of mine has not been behaving well recently. I should go back and keep an eye on it. If it runs to the lower planes, things will become troublesome." Another ascendant Immortal turned and ran away. "My pills. Could it be that the monkey smelled the medicine again? I have to go back." Taishang Laojun turned and ran away. Taibai Jinxing was the only one left among the few who were playing chess. "The monkey has been very obedient recently. How could it go back and steal the pills?" The Jade Emperor shook his head helplessly. On the way here, he saw the monkey strolling around Pan Taoyuan. It was obvious that the few of them didn't want to talk to him. Luckily, Taibai Jinxing was still there. "Lord Taibai, don't you have anything to do today?" Taibai Jinxing almost spat out the wine he just drank when the Jade Emperor spoke. Taibai Jinxing thought to himself, "Back then, I seemed to have said a few drunken words with true Lord Mind Reading when I was drunk. How would the Jade Emperor know? Jade Emperor, please don't be angry. Back then, I said some nonsense after drinking. Jade Emperor, please don't take it seriously. The old dealer walked to Daniel's side helplessly. Naturally, he heard the sound of Daniel shaking the dice cup this time. It was at least 130 points. However, the moment the dice cup was opened, the originally noisy casino suddenly became dead silent. 14 1 points, 6 2 points, 4 3 points, a total of 38 points. The old dealer couldn't help but rub his eyes, but it was indeed 38 points. Daniel stood up, and so did Guapai. Many people rubbed their eyes hard like the old dealer. 38 points, Daniel really got 38 points. Daniel, are you looking down on me? I know that you people who specialize in gambling have the ability to shake out the points you want, but you can't give me the same. What are you doing? Guapai shouted loudly and confidently. In front of the computer, Yu was lying on the ground laughing. Mind-reading sage, haha, this move is too good. Impossible, this is impossible. How can this be? Daniel, who had been calm all this time, was in a mess. The most taboo thing in a fight between experts was to be impatient. If they were both gambling kings, Daniel would definitely lose the rest of the game. However, Daniel recovered his mood after a while. Maybe this kid is really too lucky, but I will definitely beat him. Let's start the third round. Both rounds are 38 points. It's a draw, Daniel said with a smile. No, no, no. Mr. Daniel, I think you should still remember what you said at the beginning. If it's a draw, I will win this round and we can start the second round, Guapai said with a smile. Daniel's face suddenly turned red, but he was already in a difficult position. He could only think of winning the remaining rounds with his strength. The first round of the competition, Chef God Hua Xia wins, the old dealer said excitedly. This victory was really a free win. It was the same. Daniel looked at Guapai. Guapai's words almost made him vomit blood. I thought you were giving me a handicap. Turns out that your strength is just like this. Silver Spear and Waxhead. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.